Hello again, and welcome to another episode of I Want to Talk About This Album. And would you look at this? I've got two guests for the first time. I feel pressure. I feel like I've got to entertain. I feel like I'm hosting a party here. We've got Jason McMaster. Everybody knows him. He's been on the show. He's a veteran of the show. He's been on several times, multiple times. What we've got here is a newcomer. His name is Tuten, and he's the everything in Broken Teeth. He's the guitarist. He produces them. He does the art. He does the mixing, the mastering. He's a jack of all trades, master of all trades as well. So hello to both of you. Hello, Jared, and hello, Jason. I've never talked to Jared before, so this is the first time for me. I'm very happy that they've given their time. It's early for me. This is 8 o'clock in the morning. I hope I can be energetic as always. I'm usually doing these episodes at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Dan, I can't imagine you not being like this, like live wire all the fucking time. I wonder how you even let yourself calm down to go to sleep.
There are people that I've talked about this recently. I'm a bad travel companion because I want to wake up at 5 in the morning and get the fuck out of the hotel. And Jared's like that too. I have no time for sitting around, and
I'll get going.
Not as pretentious as it sounds, I hope. All right, so let's start. I've never done an episode of Broken Teeth. I ran through your whole discography about 5 years ago when I started this during COVID. I started this as, I guess, a series going through bands' whole discographies. I did all of Motorhead, all the Faith No More records. I think I did Pearl Jam, Attack, all the really, really top bands that I like. And then it kind of morphed into albums specifically that I like. And now it's just become albums that in most cases that I love, in some cases just that I've never heard, and I want to talk about. So I love Broken Teeth. And I don't know if Jared knows this. No, he wouldn't know this. Jason knows I have a Broken Teeth tattoo. There's a awesome guilty pleasure.
Oh yeah.
Broken Teeth.
That says it all right there.
Yes, it is. So I'm very excited to talk about this today. So where can we start? Either one of you guys can take the reins, as they say.
About electric, right?
We're going to talk about electric today, but we can diverge as well.
We can start anywhere because there's a lot to it.
Tell me about Broken Teeth. How did Broken Teeth get started in 1999? Your first record.
Yeah, we were off camera, kind of talking about it, but yeah, I mean, Paul Idell and Bruce Rivers had, that's Paul Idell guitar, of course. Everybody knows Paul. And Bruce Rivers, drummer, Broken Teeth. They had a band, and it was, they were serious about the band. They wrote songs. They were about to record. They were looking for studio. They were friendly with Tom Mathers from Paris Records, and who had a studio. And he's like, why don't you just use my studio for free, quote, free, but not free, because what I would like for you to do in payment would be, and he's specifically talking to Paul probably, is I want you to write me and record in my studio as well as your album, a sort of side project that's like pub rock, like Rose Tattoo, Rhino Bucket, Motorhead, AC/DC, kind of dirty rock and roll, because, and this is all along the lines of what Dirty Looks does already, right? And is what is known for. And all of us being, I mean, literally everyone involved in the family here being a huge Dirty Looks fan, especially Tom Mathers, giant Dirty Looks fan, telling Paul he was excited about it. And Paul was like, well, that sounds like fun. And I even think they were going to try to get George DeLevo's phone number, singer Rhino Bucket, and see if he wanted to sing on it, collaborate. And I caught wind of it because I think that one of those guys contacted me to get George's number. And I go,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Why do you want George and me, hey man, why do you need George's number? He's my friend, I don't want to give, and he's like, oh, well, and they tell me the whole story. And I was like, what if I want to sing on it? And he goes, and they were like, what? You would want to? Like I wouldn't want to fucking do a project like this, And they didn't have a band name or anything. So George was unbeknownst, he never got the call because I cock blocked it, right? And I got myself in there, and me and Paul wrote the songs in like a week, and we would smoke a joint and write a song, and in a week we had like 8 or 9, 10 songs. And we recorded the record. You were asking about Willie and Joey Young, Y-U-N-G, and that would have been the rhythm section that's listed as playing on the first Broken Teeth record from '99. It's self-titled. I named the band. They didn't have a band name, so I needed to come up with something that was ferocious but funny, right? And Broken Teeth kind of fell in my lap. The way that came about was kind of like, the AC/DC song, "Kicked in the Teeth Again."
Yeah.
Fucking one of my favorites. That record, Powerage, just celebrated a birthday, I think 45 years or 47 years or something. Anyway, and what happens at one of those pub shows, people get drunk and have a good time, and somebody steps on someone's foot or grabs someone's girlfriend's ass, and all of a sudden there's broken teeth in the room. You know what I mean? There's a fight, something, and you see the old pictures of Bon Scott where his is from a motorcycle accident, but teeth are missing, and it's just kind of like, but they just seem so happy-go-lucky and living life, and I feel like it fit. We recorded the record. A guy named Silas Parker was set to play bass. He came in the studio and started to record, and I sort of like was a helicopter mom, and he struggled with maybe some of that. I'm probably hard to be in a band with, by the way.
You were different back then.
You
were tougher back then.
Yeah, sure. I was pretty high strung, and I'll admit it. And Silas, I'm sorry about that, because he's such a kind hearted dude, and he was willing to come in and do it for fun. And I think he got into about a song and a half, and he's a good bass player, and we didn't really need a good quote bass player. We needed someone solid who plays one note behind the beat for 3.5 minutes.
Like a train.
Yeah, just
driving.
Just rolling on one line all the way through. The style of rock and roll that it is. Lemmy doesn't play bass lines. You know what I'm saying? Or the bass line is more like a percussion part. And he was trying to wrap his head around that. The red light's on. We're in the studio, so. Sorry, Silas. I ended up playing bass. So I was either Willie or Joey Young. I played bass on the first record, and then there's some rhythm guitar shit and like sprinkles and noise and stuff like that on guitar that I played on guitar. And I didn't want to credit myself. So we wanted to be a 5-piece band, like the classic 5-piece lineup. And that's the story of the first record. And then we ended up having to play live because the record started moving a little bit. Jared was standing right there. I was already very friendly with Jared, and I played him the record. I'm like, check this shit out, dude. And we had some mixes, and he was like, whoa. And Jared dug it, and he was like, I want to play guitar. So he did.
Well, I kept bugging you because I kept going, so you find a guitar player? Because I said, I kept saying, so you need me as guitar player? I kept saying it and kept bugging you, and no one ever really? Like you weren't going to do that, and like it wasn't serious enough to put a whole band together, but I kept going tick tick tick.
I was worried that if you would say, yeah, hey, I'm right here, it's like, oh man, are we gonna play live? I was still, or I don't know if are we gonna play live? Oh, we're gonna play live. Hey Jared, like duh. I'm trying to tell you the whole time.
I didn't know Paul or Bruce then at all.
True. Wow. Yeah.
And let me go to Jared, because Jared is, for me anyways, is quite a mystery. I think you have like no real online presence. I don't know anything about musically or background, Jared. What were you in? I'm sure you were. What bands were you in before? Is there anything that we would have known, or
you might have it? You might have his record.
I was in a band called Pariah.
Well, I remember Pariah. I never was in them. Pariah. I totally remember that band. I had no idea you were in Pariah.
Yeah.
I'm sure I did at some point through Broken Teeth, but I had forgotten.
And it was one of those things, like when Pariah ended, it was such a crazy thing that I kind of I had to take time off. I didn't consider getting in another band or trying to play out. I was like I just had to step back, and it was too emotional and there was too much attachment and all that stuff. So, but then it came back around, and of course, like I was always on the I wasn't a metalhead, but I was like heavier stuff and punchy stuff, and I mean I liked metal. It wasn't that I didn't like metal, but and then this thing sounded like it was right down my alley because it essentially like AC/DC, and I was like, I could do that. So that was kind of the perfect timing, But
summer '99, I think.
Yeah, I also like I only do one band at a time. A lot of guys like Jason has a bunch of bands. I just don't do that. I just do one band, so it was kind of perfect.
Yeah, very different than Jason, who's in about 19
40.
minutes, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I had to learn how to start saying no. Otherwise, I'd be in like 500 bands.
Yeah. Well, this is all new for me. I mean, we've only been talking a few minutes, and I didn't know that I assumed this was a Jason project. My cat wants to jump up here. I assumed it was a Jason project. I didn't know that it was I guess Paul and Bruce that started it.
Yeah, the germ really, I have to kind of give credit to Tom Mathers. It was kind of his idea really to like create this sort of like underground project with all of, people that he was friendly with that write rock and roll that he liked. And so, yeah, that was the germ.
And you said project, and I'll ask about that too. What is it correct to say that there's a difference between a band and a project?
Yeah, because I mean,
splitting hairs.
It's maybe a little bit. I mean, Broken Teeth doesn't really tour anymore, but as soon as we started playing live, it's not really a project anymore.
Yeah, it became a band.
And the sound has actually morphed quite a bit when you listen to that. I mean, definitely. I think the first record is a fucking classic rock record now. I mean, it's been, what's that, 25 years ago?
26.
Yeah, it's 26 freaking years ago. So, when it's it wasn't refined yet. It was just this one kind of, muddy blues kind of a vibe, and that was nasty and, almost pornographic lyrics somewhat, and, clever somewhat. Right. And
I'll talk about that.
And then it kind of morphed into, and the lineup changed, and, it had to immediately because we didn't really have a full band.
I think of it like the morph is, and we try to retain the same sound from record to record, and it was always about like kind of an older AC/DC sound, and then it kind of morphed into like, let's add a little Judas Priest Motorhead to that, because the show, my God, when we play live, there's an energy there that's like pretty raging, and it was the Motorhead punk rock, not punk rock as in you might define punk rock, but like a rage that we had every show, and it got more energetic every show, and we developed a thing, so when live shows were just slamming. So and one of the things in the studio is really difficult to put that, to get that recorded, so you don't have, like, if you go see a band live, sometimes they're so great, and then you listen to the record and it's not, it may not be bad or anything, but just not the same energy. It's really difficult to translate that to record, but we did our best and try to retain that as much as possible.
Yeah, which I think that was the purpose of this album we're going to talk about today. Electric, for me, Electric is kind of like the turning point. I mean, from the first one to Guilty Pleasure, the second one, it was a little bit more aggressive, but still, kind of the same. But then with Electric, you were saying, okay, we're going to be a little bit different. And then by Viva la Rock Fantastico, I mean, Blackheart, the first song, got the Union Jack flying in the backbone with the badge he's got on. Johnny Rotten spitting the seats, talking about how the war was won. Down the runners, down the walls, don't ever let them grind you down. And when I heard that, don't ever let them grind you down, immediately that put Motorhead into my mind. London bridges had to be built, vampirical freaks drawn into the sound. I was thinking, man, these guys have really morphed into, for me at that time, that was real Motorhead territory.
I love you, Dan.
Yeah.
You're so awesome. You know my
I've
lyrics.
seen the Beast eat the Lone Star, being the Lone
Eat the
Star,
Lone
deliver
Star.
peace
Yeah.
of mind.
Yeah, that's
Disturb the
Iron
breeze
Maiden.
down in Texas, where the British steel will truly shine.
There's Judas Priest.
Hunger driven. Hungry peace of mind. Romantic media coming down to shine. I thought, man, I love this band. Maybe we should have talked about Viva la Rock Fantastico.
I thought about putting all my lyrics in like some kind of like formatted bound book, like all my lyrics, not just Broken Teeth lyrics, because hearing you beautifully just spit them in the mic like that is really awesome.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
to me, I'm too close to them, right? I don't, I'm just.
Yeah, and it's funny for me going back to Broken Teeth roots or origins. To me, as Jason knows, I was and still am a huge Dangerous Toys fan, and to me, they were just an extension of Dangerous Toys.
That may or may not be, if I may, a little uncomfortable for some people. The idea that, it's just an offshoot of Dangerous Toys. Then they might walk away saying that. When I see it like that, I'm just trying to disconnect myself, right?
Yeah.
So if someone's just walking by and I was going, "Oh, these guys are ripping off Dangerous Toys," no, we're not, because it's just the. I hear you're just telling me how you feel from your heart, but it's not really an extension of Dangerous Toys. It is only by way of it's the same singer.
Yeah, I never felt it. I always thought we had our own thing, and it's rock and roll, so you could say they're both rock and roll. But I never, I love Dangerous Toys, but I was never such an uber fan that I'd be copying them. I love all these guys and all, and it's great songs, but I was just into my own thing, and I wouldn't have done something like that. So. I guess I digress and come back around and say, I guess it's interesting to us that when people such as you're sitting here would say that, because it's not to us, but it's fine if people hear that. Isn't that a similar? Like you could think that like a fame association, like just because they know the name Dangerous Toys and they see something else that sounds kind of similar, they just think of
that. Could be that. That's a psychological thing, maybe connection. It's a connection it's a comfortable connection that people like, or let's say if they don't like, in this case, Dangerous Toys, they would write Broken Teeth off without even listening to the songs, which is a massive fail. That would be like, oh, what a fucking bummer. Because you like Motorhead, you like AC/DC, you like Rose Tattoo, you like that, Dirty Looks and Rhino Bucket. You're not going to listen to Broken Teeth because they got the fucking Dangerous Toys singer who shakes his hips like, Axl Rose or something. They're going to put it in.
I would think that's somebody that doesn't like you.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say.
I'm not listening to that or something, but,
ultimately,
they like it.
Ultimately, that's what I'm trying to say. If they've already got it, they're already gunning for you anyway, because they, something is bad about it already in their head. They're not even going to give Broken Teeth a chance. So, but that's not the case with Dan.
I think most people that like rock and roll are gonna, they like it to, at least to a certain extent, that it's good rock and roll. So
I like it when they don't make that Dangerous Toys connection at all, and I just hear it and go, "Holy shit, what is this?" And then they hear the backstory. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, for somebody who didn't know Dangerous Toys already, for somebody who was, or let's say who is, just maybe somebody now who's 25 years old, for example, maybe they wouldn't make that connection. Obviously, the singer was the main thing. And also, at this point, I didn't know Godzilla Motor Company, Igniter didn't exist. And so to me, it was like, and now the first Broken Teeth record is obviously very different from the last Dangerous Toys record. But I mean, if you compare the first records of each, the first Dangerous Toys record, 1989, and the first Broken Teeth, 1999, to me, they didn't sound the same musically, but lyrically, as you mentioned earlier, Jason, the almost porno lyrics, cock rock. Yeah. To me, it was like that. Now, what's interesting about your lyrics is you have a very different. I mean, I can say, and I don't know if you would agree, Broken Teeth and Dangerous Toys have at least somewhat similar lyrics. Very, very different. Godzilla Motor Company is more spacey, kind of science fiction lyrics. Igniter, more like fantasy, kind of heavy metal?
Yeah, classic Dungeons and Dragons, if you will, European power metal. Without talking about dragons and demons all the time, it's closer to a pissed off Iron Maiden, you know.
Yeah.
And then in the later records, I even though it was still fantastical, I touch off on some really heavy subjects. A lot of doom and closer to like a Sabbath vibe. I'm not saying I wrote lyrics like Geezer Butler, but there's a lot of I was watching a lot of Game of Thrones, which is, here we go back to Dungeons and Dragons, but it was more about incest and the clergy and the control and, you know, power hungry people trying to hurt the little guy. And that's where a lot of it has gone now. But it's interesting that I can write, you know, stick it in and then something like, you know, on the new Igniter, like Horns and Hammers, which is about tribal control of land, you know.
Well, I've always been able to hear a difference in lyric content between Dangerous Toys and Broken Teeth.
Me too. But I guess on the surface,
it to me, like you could be more, this is a bad word, but say silly in your lyrics with Dangerous Toys and get away with it. Where
silly
kind of things wouldn't necessarily work with Broken Teeth. More
silly is perfect.
You know? I don't mean that's a bad word. I just couldn't think of a better one.
No, it's good.
But
and also the scatting thing and the boogie. There's not a whole. There's not any
bit of boogie.
It's not. I mean, Teeth has a couple of shuffles, but that doesn't mean we're a boogie rock band. And Broken Teeth, you could almost. I'm sorry, Dangerous Toys, you could almost say has that Van Halen boogie in it sometimes. And that makes sense because you know, Scott and Mark in the Toys, they're huge on that groove, so they like that groove. Anyway, so yeah, I hear differences because of the style that I'm singing, but maybe the lyrics I could see cross over a little bit.
Yeah, musically they're quite different. Especially by the time you got to Viva La Fantastico, you were much more Motorhead, Judas Priest. I even heard a little bit of Dio, Stand Up and Shout in what was that song on Bulldozer?
Oh shit,
Hammer.
Well, that's the Motorhead.
No, Red River Rising. No, what was it? There was something that sounded like I Speed at Night on. I think it was on Bulldozer.
Might have been, Raining Fire.
Raining Fire. That's what it was.
You're right.
Yeah, it was. When I wrote that riff, I was listening to a lot of Judas Priest, and
okay.
Once you think that, you go, I hear it now.
Because it's riding on the wind. It's just faster.
Yeah, exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Down
on the bound. So a lot of people, not to go down the bulldozer. Oh, you see that, Jared? He's about to sing my lyrics. So the thing about someone says, I think it was John Andrews, who I feel like should have had a column in the Austin Statesman or something, but because he was a great writer. He used to review records and shows all the time. Friend of ours here in town. He said, and I love this, he said that Bulldozer sounded like a great nod to new wave of British heavy metal, even with the cover songs on it.
Yeah, the Hammer.
Yeah, he said it sounded like a new wave of British heavy metal record, like we had been listening to a bunch of Diamond Head or something. That's what he said.
So Electric was a similar thing. Like for me as a producer, like how are you going to record this record? How are you going to do it? Is always kind of the thing you're walking into. Like how are we going to approach recording the songs, or doing that? And Bulldozer was one. Those first 3 songs were the first batch of the new writings for that time, right?
Yeah.
So, but we needed a record. So we were like, whoa, what are we going to do? So we added a couple of covers. We added this and that. And next thing you know, it was like one over an EP, but at least we had a record. And Electric was a similar thing because we had half the record written and we needed to make a record, but we couldn't finish, we wanted to keep writing, but we needed to make a record. So that's why we thought we're going to use half the record is going to be new songs, half the record is old songs. and put it together and made a record. And we were playing so often. We were kind of on this rage thing. I remember being, we were playing gigs and on the bus, drive to the studio, record the record, then drive to Houston to record the thing with
Devil's Child with Bobby
Child.
Blotzer for a Priest tribute.
It was just like that,
Hold on, did Bobby Blotzer play on Devil's Child?
No.
No,
okay.
He was producing that record.
Okay.
He produced a Judas Priest tribute band called.
I remember.
What was it called?
Judas Priest Forever.
No, like it was a Hellbent for Leather spin-off, but it was not. It was called maybe Hellbent Forever.
Hellbent Forever.
Yeah,
Hellbent
maybe
Forever.
that's it. Came out on red vinyl. It's a great thing. I mean, Ripper Owens is on there. I think Janie Lane is on there. Anyway, we drove at like 5 o'clock in the morning because we had to be at the studio at 9 a.m. I was sick.
Knock it out and leave. And that record was recorded really fast. Just same thing as Guilty Pleasure. That was recorded really fast. We did the track. I mean, overdubs took a little time, but like as far as the band being in the studio, we did it in one day. So a lot of those Guilty Pleasure takes were first takes and move on to the next one. And we didn't probably didn't keep all of the vocals, but it might have been some overdubs. And I know that Electric, we did some overdubs and all that. Now Viva was done differently. We went in and we recorded one song a day. So we went in, we started the song, we worked it up, all the overdubs until it was done and get a rough mix, and then leave that night. And then the next day we came in, which I've done that on other art. I made records for a long time, so I have all these different approaches that may or may not work, and you try something that you think is, would work. And that approach is something people don't usually do because they don't have the time, but it really gives you a different type of product. When you're done, you have this, like, you spend all day on this one song. And then like 3 or 4 days later, you go back, hey, look at what you recorded Monday. And you're like, I forgot all about you. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're really here to talk about Electric, but all of these sort of anecdotes here are sort of connected in the way that we work. We don't have one process, like Jared was saying, and the reason why it's like, we're all trying to. Everybody's busy guys, and we were all trying to. And we were touring actually, after Electric, we started to tour like a lot.
We were doing it during Electric because I remember we were running around so much, and I had to okay, we're at this one studio date, go in, do it, then run to Houston. We were out.
Yeah, we were running to the Midwest. Like we'd run through the Midwest and back. We do 2 or 3 week runs to the Midwest and back, or the West Coast and back in one summer. So it'd be like zip, 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 zip in one summer. So, maybe 6 to 8 weeks out of a summertime, we're gone.
Yeah, we were doing like a little over 200 shows a year at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing to think. I remember you guys played this was shortly after I moved from Canada to Mexico.
Yeah.
You guys played in Hamilton, Ontario, McMaster University. I was thinking, oh my God, like I would have killed to see Broken Teeth. And I just moved to Mexico a year or 2 years before. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe that Broken Teeth is playing in not Toronto, but Hamilton, about 45 minutes away.
Yeah, I hear that's a college town art community kind of a vibe, and it was all right.
Yeah.
The club was underground, I think.
Oh, okay. Literally underground.
Yeah, like downstairs low. Wasn't I don't remember it being. You always remember the terrible gear load ins.
Yeah.
And this wasn't that. It wasn't that bad. Yeah, that was a trip. Anyway, so the idea behind Electric, just to kind of get our hands dirty with this while we're here today, Jared touched off on. I remember being in, we had 5 songs and we needed a record. We wanted to make a record real bad. Yeah, we had 5 fresh songs that would have been, Roll Over, the title track, Electric, Blood on the Radio,
Burns
Hell
Like Love.
for Sale, Bonfire, and Burns Like Love.
Yeah, and
Six
at that
tunes.
time, Paul quit it not too long before that. So it was just about the time that Dave Beeson had kind of got his footing, and we had written this little group of songs, and I thought that
With Paul, we wrote those 6 tunes with Paul.
Well, I thought that the ones that we did that were already recorded, they needed an update because we were playing them a little different.
Amen. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Like
Right.
yeah, and those are She's Gonna Blow, Devil Money, Stick It In, Hanging by the Skin, Undertaker, and El Diablo, which is kind of like can be a greatest hits of the records prior to Electric. When you think about, like we had 2 studio records and 1 live record, which we called Blood on the Radio, then that turned into a song that that was a title that I had that worked great because Blood on the Radio was actually broadcast live on the radio, and we made it was filmed for a DVD. Yada yada, and
it was the only that Blood on the Radio song was the only one on Blood on the Radio that wasn't on anything else, and that's kind of one of the reasons.
No, Bonfire.
Oh, Bonfire, yeah, Bonfire and Blood on the Radio both, right?
No, Blood on the Radio was not even really a song yet, and it was not on Blood on the Radio.
Oh,
yeah, trippy, right? It's a trip. So don't be confused. Blood on the Radio is a live record, the title of a live record, which became a song.
That's right, yeah.
Right after it, which was considered one of the 6 new songs on Electric. But Bonfire we had worked up already, and we played that live on the Blood on the Radio album.
Some weird stuff.
Yeah. So that Paul's still in the band, and we go into, do you remember where we did it? We did it in like room 7 at St. Elmo
Did what?
Music Lab. We worked up all those songs. I think you had a studio. Remember where we recorded the Mike Portnoy Rush tribute, and I fixed up some live vocals that aren't really live anymore for that Rush thing. In that same room, we worked up these 6 tunes with Paul.
I think we were trying to record a record, and it just didn't sound good. Like the room. The room did, because I was like, if I'm going to record anything, I'm going to try to make a record, and I couldn't get a drum sound, and there was just bad sounding room, And
yeah, this wasn't the room that was in the back that we had with Godzilla Motor Company and Broken Teeth. It was in the middle of the hallway, up closer to the front, if you recall. But anyway, so that's where we worked up. I think I have. This would be what we call pre-production rehearsals, right? Yeah. Where everything's mic'd up and Jared's over there and he hits record, and then we play a song and he hits stop, and we've got it on tape. And it sounds pretty good, but I've got a CDR of at least 5 out of these 6 tunes on a CDR from those pre-production sessions, which might be fun.
Love to hear that.
Might be fun to listen to at some point.
Love it. So. You have to.
Yeah, you never know if you're going to jump into some like a situation like we have this room and you just go in and take advantage of it. You never know. You might get something really great, or you might get something. It might just be like bad energy, or maybe the best energy. Who knows?
I remember to talk about that session there, and this is before we started recording the record. This is way before Electric was in the studio being worked on. This is with Paul Idell, where I remember we had the song Electric was if I recall correct, Electric had like 4 rewrites.
Oh man, we worked on that song, rewrote. It was a weird one. It was one of those that, like, you go, it just keeps doing the same thing over and over, and so we try something different, and finally like got something where we're all just that's cool. Okay, great. Over and over, changing, and
we had to massage the parts and the turns a little bit,
as opposed to some of those songs that are written in like one sitting. Like, I got this little riff, bam, 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 bam. You're like, oh, we've got a song, it's done.
Yeah,
you don't want to change anything because it's killer. But that was one of those like, man, this could be so good. Let's keep if we just try this,
Yeah, the hook was there. It just needed to be fleshed out, and it was. I don't know why it was such a struggle, but I'm glad that we stuck with it because I mean, look where we are. We're talking about it. So
So just to, I have a question, well, a comment and a question going back to what Jared was saying a few minutes ago. So I always have thought of this record as kind of like a double EP, like two EPs in one.
Okay.
The first 6 songs are new. The second 6 songs were re-recorded. But to me, as just a fan, and maybe it's a bias, maybe because I think of them as two sections. They sonically they sound different. Were they recorded at the same time and in the same studio?
yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
they were, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's just because I was so accustomed to hearing the original versions of the second 6 songs.
yeah.
To me, maybe that was why they sounded different than the first 6, which were new. But
I
I always
approached
figured
it.
they were from two different sessions.
I approached it as two different batches of writing, but I didn't approach it as two different recordings. You know what I mean? Like when we recorded it, it was one batch of recordings, not two different setups.
And it was David Beeson's first recording with us, and
Which is
it was
another
also
reason we needed to make a record because
it was all.
he was 2 years in or so.
Yeah, I think it was also Brett's first recording with us because Mike. He
yeah.
played on the live album,
Played on the live,
but,
yeah.
but Paul is still in the band on Blood on the Radio live record, but it's Brett, our new bass player, because Mike Watson from the Toys is the bass player on Guilty Pleasure. And we're not talking about that record, but that's a great record too. But the band had already started to morph and change. Mike was done with it, and Brett was standing there. He was a guy that we all knew and came in and killed it. And then we had reasons that we were a little flip flop on our lineup, who was in the band. So we needed a record, and the band sounded different. You get rid of a couple of elements, and automatically your band sounds different. You might be leaning in a little bit on some of the tempos, and the guitar tones started to get a little bit more gnarly in a good way. And so, that was reasons why we need to go in and record something. Let's take these new songs that we've developed over the past 2 point whatever years, and the way that the band sounds now, we should record these earlier tunes, kind of like a greatest hits. The last half of the record is like a greatest hits, and then you get 6 new ones on top. I think it was a great idea. I think, we didn't make any mistakes because this is kind of, Electric has turned into a go-to record for a lot of, if I were a fly on the wall, I would expect someone who's a hardcore, maybe even you, Dan, wouldn't you? Like if someone goes, Broken Teeth, what the hell is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've never heard of them before? I think you should start with Electric.
Yeah, I think I see Electric a little bit differently, and I guess anybody who knew Broken Teeth before, I mean, from the first 2 records, I see it as I said, like 2 EPs. Now, if you were a new fan, if you're, as I said earlier, 25 years old now, 30, 20, whatever, and you want to get into a band called Broken Teeth, I would say this is after Viva La Rock Fantastico, which is maybe one of my top 5 records of the last 20 years.
Wow.
Really can't tell you how much I love, and I'm going to shift in the fanboy mode. I can't tell you how much I love Viva La Rock Fantastico. But I would say Electric is, it's probably my second favorite after Viva La Rock.
Electric to me was the sum of what we had done, and then Viva was the beginning to me as far as writing was like, let's try to branch out a little bit without changing. We didn't want to change the sound. We just wanted to, just try some different stuff. And Viva was one of those like, all right, we got a new approach to writing.
By the time we were doing Viva, not to veer off the subject of Electric, but by the time we were doing Viva, past Electric, Electric kind of was like is when we got busy as a band, And then and then it makes sense because Electric had the new version of the old as well as all these new songs. It made sense, but we were writing a shit ton. I was writing in the back of the bus. If we were in a van, I was in the back of the van. I was back there. My little recorder had batteries in it, and I had a little baby guitar, and I'm trying to come up dummy lyrics and riffs in the back of a bus, and then I'd play it for the guys, and they'd add stuff to it, and shit. By the time we were recording Viva, we had a lot, and we were writing during the time we were in the studio. I mean, I remember going home and writing 2 songs, and the next day going to Jared, going, "Dude, check out these 2 songs I wrote last night." And Jared goes, "Those got to be on the record," and those are the ones that Danko sang backup on.
Yeah.
It was the
Extender and Viva La Rock Fantastic.
The title fucking track.
Yeah, we were accumulating, I'm if I like whenever I'm working on a song, I make lists, so you can't forget a song because I have it on list, right? So there was like, I don't know, we had 35 or 40 songs there, and they were just little ideas. I mean, the way we do it is we write an idea basic where you get the gist, but there's a lot missing.
Do you remember? I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you remember the song "Witch's Brew"? Mm-hmm. We worked on that fucking thing for 3 days.
Yeah, and I know why I didn't want to use it.
Tell us, because it's water under the bridge now.
It was just too like witchcraft, not witchcraft,
So the lyric was the reason why.
Well, you couldn't get past this. Like, are you being serious?
Yeah,
it's just like I can't remember the lyric, but I just remember it was kind of like, it's just not. It just sounded like you're taking yourself too serious thing.
It's interesting because you felt like there was a hook in it, which is why you wanted to work on it.
Yeah.
Otherwise we didn't know at the time, and you wanted to go, yeah, I didn't see what was wrong with it until after we put hours and hours into working on it.
The way I usually approach those kinds of things, like you'll get like those ideas I'm talking about. You get an idea and you go, hey, that's really great, but it needs to go like, it's not quite there. So what I do is I like, it's like a ball of tape that you tape together. I pull a chunk off and throw it against the wall and see what it does. Oh, look at it. It did something different. And you're like, oh, that's different. It's kind of one of those situations. Like, you have to mess it up. Let's mess it up and see if we come up with something better. I mean, sometimes that's just how you do it.
I think about that sometimes, about how much time we spent on, in this case, Witch's Brew, but we did it with Electric and it worked, right?
Electric, we just kept kind of working with the same elements. Because what I was saying a second ago is a full, like sometimes somebody will come with a song and it'll be like a mid-tempo, and I'm like, try it way faster, like double it up and just, and see, it's so different. That's what I'm
yeah.
Drastic difference. And it may give you insight. You go like, oh, how about half the time, but Electric kind of stayed similar. It was really the arrangement that took a long time for Electric. We kept changing the arrangement because it's kind of one of those things. Like if you kind of break it down a little bit, they're very basic parts that could get boring if you keep repeating it. But we wanted to keep repeating it. And next thing you know, we found something that made it work.
Yeah, Witch's Brew had a hook that I think that we were all in agreement that was really something special. And it never got fleshed out. Whether if we would have changed the lyric, it would have turned into something completely fucking different. And maybe I was harping on the idea that I wanted to use Witch's Brew in the hook, and if it was too like devilish if it got cheesy quick,
the Dungeons and Dragons cheese. What kept giving?
It's a slippery slope when you're writing these kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of lyrics. I mean, I know we all agreed.
That's exactly it.
Yeah,
because that lyric may work in, like, say, Igniter if you interject all these metal things and make it into like a, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm not an expert on Igniter, but I'm just saying, like, a metal band would probably take that and make it into something.
Well, here's the end of this Witch's Brew story is it turned for me, and because I wrote the riff, and it was a little bit after, it was around the same time, and it was sitting over here the same day as Witch's Brew. Witch's Brew turned into Break the Spell.
Sweet.
See, Witch's Brew, Break the Spell, because Witch's Brew is about, oh, Harry, have some coffee, and you drink it, and you're under, Witch's Brew, right? Whatever. It's you drink the potion, and then you turn into something else.
So basically, you threw the lyric out and started over.
Yeah, but we didn't know that that's what was happening before our very, I had Witch's Brew written already. So we you don't know that sometimes.
Well, Sinful is a similar thing. Sinful on the Four on the Floor record.
That's true.
That song, he had a lyric and I had a riff, and we couldn't really get into it. And then so we kind of dropped it for a minute. And then I go, hey, I got another riff that would work with this. You're like, you couldn't figure. You're like, it's not work. You had a problem with the old one, and I said, no, really, I have one that I think will work. And we'd like sludged it down. Broken Teeth never plays anything that slow, and we just kind of all of a sudden it fell together. It was one of those things.
Yeah,
but
Sinful is
something drastically different.
Sinful drags its feet on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Dan's writing some shit down.
Yeah, I just want to, when we get to the song, I just
He does this sometimes. He'll write some shit down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my God. You have no idea how much.
Yes, I do.
How many notes I take.
Just now. It's like
No.
He put his pen down and it exploded.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm always writing stuff.
like-
So let's clarify something. Are you telling me there's a Broken Teeth? Was it ever recorded Witch's Brew in any form?
Yeah, there's a demo of it somewhere. It's not good.
There's
but
a lot of songs.
Please find it, Jason. And
I'll
please send it.
see if I can.
There's a lot of songs that never made it. Like
Yeah, I guess every band has, that's why they put out, B-sides and demos and bonus records, things like that.
Viva,
Yeah, how much?
With Viva was the same thing. There was that long list. Let's say you had 40 songs. Like the first thing we would do is like say these 5 for sure, and then the next one would be like a B rating. They're going to need more work, and then it gets into the C, and then so we would start recording the ones that were for sure's, and then it got to the point where like, I'm tired of recording songs. Can we go?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, it was like 5 weeks, day after day after day. We would just go, So.
But back to Electric again. I'll pull us back in. Those pre-production rehearsals at Music Lab Austin on St. Elmo in room 7, I believe. I even think it's in your writing on the CDR. I can kind of see it. It's room 7 sessions. At least 5, maybe all 6 are on this, demo versions, if you will. That was really the only work we had to do because the rest of Electric is older material. So the workload for Electric was easier than what we've been describing all the way around. Just so you know, Dan, I'm telling you for that. Yeah,
I get it.
Well, there was another element that didn't come to fruition on that, where at the time it was kind of when video was like content was starting. There weren't content creators back then, but I wanted to make content, so I had video people that like Blood on the Radio was the same thing. Just bring all the cameras, just throw it in, And for Electric, I set up cameras all over the studio. There's one on every guy. There was wide shots and all this stuff that I said I just want to capture while we're recording.
Well, this was at this. I'm just making sure that I'm not confused because we recorded Electric at Wire.
This is at Wire, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and we didn't use any of that footage.
Okay. Wow. Then I had forgotten that you had basically videoed the whole thing.
Yeah, and then we made the rollover video. And it was because
I don't.
Yeah, I don't remember.
We don't have a rollover video.
Rollover.
Yeah, we don't have a roll. Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. We shot it at we have a rollover video, Dan. Yeah, it's a pro shot. It's a bad.
Was it ever published anywhere?
Fucking A, man. Look up
Really?
your YouTube. Fuck yeah.
That's a Tuten production.
I remember the Devil Money video. Jason was wearing the suit and tie running.
Yeah, that's really old.
Jared Tuten production.
And I remember the video. What video was it? I guess maybe when Jared started to talk about this a few seconds ago. Which video is it where there were GoPros? I think maybe Dave and somebody are talking in the studio about some new cameras or something. I guess they were GoPros. What video was that?
That's
Is that Blackheart?
That's not Raining Fire, but that's Flamethrower.
Flamethrower, yeah.
Yes, it is Flamethrower.
Flamethrower was done at Top Hat Studios.
So that is the same approach I tried to use on the
electric.
I
on
did
electric session.
Come in like, okay, we recorded them all separately because at that time the way I did it was I got Bruce in there to play drums. It was just me and him. And then I get the bass player to come in, and so we didn't play it all together. So anytime anybody came in, I put cameras on them. And then by the time it was done, I had footage. So I just edited it together, and then I went and did some weird effects and threw them on
for
there.
Flamethrower.
For Flamethrower,
Yeah.
And end up with a video because I had to. You have to, it's like I wanted every video to look a little different, and that's what I ended up with. So
yeah, I'm looking now. The rollover. I don't. Yeah. It's okay. It's live stuff. Now it's under Jared's YouTube channel.
Yeah. It's not really live though.
No, it's not.
I'm not listening to it. Yeah, the footage is the footage.
Well, it's
live?
on stage. We're on stage, but yeah, we're not really playing live in front of the audience.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure I've never seen this.
That's a great video.
There was a club involved in the Broken Teeth camp that our bass player Brett had put together, and they had a stage, and I think I did the production install. I installed the lighting and the PA and all that, and I'm like, so this would be great to put a video. We can just get in here and blam it out.
Fuck yeah! The venue's Rock City Ice House. It didn't last very long. It was due to location for the most part, but great stage.
Yeah,
great stage.
All right. Well, let's talk about electric more specifically, and I've got it here so I can show everybody what it looks like.
Rollover was track 1.
That's right, with the siren, the siren intro. And I've got, where was I had the other one. Where was the CD? Anyway, I had the CD and the record. But the reason I wanted to talk about this rather than Viva, which is my favorite, is I just got this recently on vinyl. So I was excited to talk about it. And this is what it looks like for anybody that's interested in the cool. And Jared is all over this, right? Jared did the producing, engineering. I remember overdub engineering, artwork or art layouts.
Yeah, I don't know if I didn't do the art on that one. That was
Jeff Williams.
Who did the art for
yes, electric art by Jeff Williams for Team Diablo.
Yeah, but I did
art layout by Jeff.
Yeah, you laid it out. You put all the panels together.
Oh, I guess maybe I did, yeah.
And but Jeff Williams, just to give some credit here, is an old acquaintance of mine. He's actually the bass player in the UK band Onslaught.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if you want to put a face, on it, just look at the Guilty Pleasure album. That's Jeff Williams.
There's a picture in there. Yeah.
That's him. That's Jeff Williams.
Yeah. The hair is Hendrix.
Yeah.
It's him in a copy machine. Like where you open the thing, you put your face in it. He took that and he put Hendrix's hair over it, and he to come up with that picture.
Fucking awesome. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That will put you into the mind of Jeff Williams really quick. Is that he worked really fast. I think he busted out this electric art really fast. He does graphic design on the side. I think he went to school for it, actually. But yeah, we love him. He did Blood on the Radio as well. He did your favorite album, Dan. He did Viva.
The kind of silhouette of the map.
That's Viva, yeah.
All right. So we'll go through this track by track, and again, because Jared's a newcomer to the I want to talk about this album game. give as much information as you want. If you have any stories or anything you want to add, any superfluous information, everything is welcome. So the opening track, as Jason mentioned moments ago, is "Roll Over." It begins with that siren. No matter you're a man or a mouse, long as there is a cat in the house. No time, no dime, can't afford the California license plate. Very, very, very energetic, fast, ripping. It's not thrash metal, but it has that energy. It's just fucking crazy, chaotic song, "Roll Over."
That is a great song. It's really difficult to play correctly. We played it great when we were raging, and then it was just so hard to get it perfectly at certain points. It's got to be just right, the way the kick and the bass patterns all land. The solo was one of those, like, I don't know where I came up with that, but it was like, well, that's pretty cool. It was just, sometimes I just like that, chaos.
Yeah, another thing I love about "Roll Over" is the kind of trade-offs between, I don't know if I can explain this as a non-musician, but, when Jason sings "Roll Over" and then the guitar screams, "Ring, ring, ring, roll over, ring, ring," that wailing, screaming licks or whatever they are.
Yep. That's
back and forth with the lyric or the vocal and that screaming guitar.
That thing, it's a wah thing. It's a double stop wah. And I used to do that a lot in Pariah, and I always thought it had like a scream to it, so it carries over. I just want, it's usually like I want to do something that's not the rhythm guitar. I want to play something that go and it has to go with the vocal, around the vocal. The vocal's the most important thing usually, so you're trying to play with it, and that was what I came up with. It stuck. So, yeah, great opener.
Very, very energetic. It really, I guess, as a first song should. It sets the tone, I think, for what's to come.
I don't know why I put the siren on there. There may have been a reason that we came up with it. I'm like the intro. The guy, the weirdo that's like, I got this weird sound. Like, I would just record.
Devil on the Road has an intro.
Yeah, and some of those, like, guess what that is? And you have no, it's like a wood chipper, and there's also there's so many. I'll mix a bunch of more just to try to come up with this weird intro sound, just because I it's fun to me, and I don't. I just can't, I love it. I love doing that kind of thing. So.
Well, on that note, the next song is the title track, "Electric," and it also has kind of a weird intro, which it sounds like it's something backwards, some backwards masking, something like that. I assume that's Jason. I've wondered for 15 years or more.
Me too.
It's a lyric.
What is it?
It's a lyric
from Electric.
Yeah. Trying to think what it is. I think what I did was I took a lyric, something you had said, and then I ran it through a bunch of gizmos and came up with this, like, I can't remember what it says, but it's one of your lyrics.
Sounds kind of demonic.
Yeah,
well, it just sounds like some kind of like something under the stairs. It doesn't really,
Yeah.
What was that?
That time I had these, and when I was mixing, I had these this crazy effects that I was trying to use them, and they're not really usable in a practical sense. They're more usable in like a let's get weird thing, and it was one of those. And I think it was like detuned a lot with the sounds going onto it. I wish I knew that lyric. I'm going to look it up now.
Yeah, well, I can tell you the lyrics. It's from Electric, a lyric from Electric. Hit the lights, turn on the wire. About the time to bring on the show, the invitation never expires. The rig is up, and it's.
Yeah, I don't know. It just sounds like I ran it through the gizmo, but it's something he said. It was a lyric that he just said before that. I just took it in Pro Tools. You can just grab a piece and throw it anywhere you want.
But was Jason just warming up, or he was talking into the mic or something?
Born to Lose. It was the Born to Lose thing.
Born to Lose, Live to Win in that middle kind of breakdown section.
And I just
that's Lemmy's tattoo.
That's my tattoo.
Look at that. You've got lyrics on you too
Yeah.
that I didn't write.
Yes. Yeah, that middle section is like a fuse close to the sound, frozen. Your feet hit the ground like a parasite, born to lose, live to win.
Yeah.
And the drums are pounding. That would be. And I've never seen Broken Teeth live, and I probably never will. But I feel like
That's
that
a
would
bummer.
Yeah, I know. I feel like that middle section would be kind of slows down a little bit, and then it's got the punchy accents.
The middle section, if you listen with headphones, you can hear them. But I remember I was like, "Hey, Jason, can you put a track of Gremlins? I need Gremlins." And
Yeah.
yeah, they're in there. And I of course I tweaked it with gizmos, but
You're like shit from Neverending Story or fucking Labyrinth or something.
Yeah.
Jim Henson. Yeah.
Yeah, and real AC/DC. There's a lot of Broken Teeth songs that have AC/DC worship. This is, I guess, the first one, at least the first on this record.
Mm.
Dun, 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 dun. A little bit of If You Want Blood, I hear it.
Think about what we've been talking about, though, about this song went through, this many rewrites. We had to fuck with it over and over and over, and that and you think about that as a verse, well, then it slips into the chorus, and it's not really that different. The chorus is not, and that was part of the issue we were having.
it's redundant. So we were trying to get it out of redundancy, and it all came down to arrangement.
You know how the first thing you hear in the song is the backing vocal, electric, hit the lights.
Yeah.
So that's the hook. And then we didn't realize that was the hook until maybe later. This is just an idea as to why and how we're struggling with it, is we didn't realize what the true hook in the song was until it was right in front of our face. You know what I mean? Electric, hit the light. That little thing is the chorus. If you just repeat electric, 10,000 watts of electric, that vibe, it was there the whole time. It made it not so redundant, and it gave it to the audience. If they realize electric and the band is going to hit me, electric, that's the whole fucking song. We didn't realize that's what the song was kind of asking us to do.
Yeah. Those. Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
No, it's okay. I was done.
I was going to say that electric, those kind of chanting vocals, and I don't know if I'm off base or out of line with this. Reminded me of Dirty Deeds. Dirty Deeds. That kind of chanting. Electric,
sure, I'll take it. But here's a factoid that a lot of people don't. It's subconscious now. I feel like they don't realize that so many rock songs have that. You got Heavy Metal Love by Canadian greats Helix.
Yep.
And you got Heavy Metal Love. Heavy Metal. It's the Colin in AC/DC kings of that. So
yeah,
live it turned into electric,
yeah.
Like the whole crowd,
like
it became that thing, which I didn't realize was going to happen until we started playing it live a lot.
Yeah, there's another song, if I can remember when we get to it later, that has the oi oi at the end.
those are like homage. We just throw it in because you can't help it. It wasn't like we were trying.
Yeah, it's right there.
To necessarily do that.
Yeah, the song "Guilty Pleasure" has that all over it.
Oh yes, of course.
It's the same idea. Whether you be, swinging from AC/DC's, junk.
It's fanboy stuff.
Yeah, it's fanboy stuff. But at the same time, that thing we're talking about might not even be in the song. Like when we play Undertaker live and it gets to the breakdown and I get the audience to just clap along, or, they usually start without me having to say anything. Oi, oi, oi. They'll do it on every fucking song because that's sort of like, fast walking, kind of like, just groovy thing. is it's
You're in the same
supposed
tribe. It's a tribe thing. We're
Yeah.
all the same tribe, basically.
Yeah.
That's the way I think of it.
yeah.
All right. Next is Blood on the Radio, Blood on the Stereo. Some real references here. This is obviously Ramones. I guess Rock and Roll Radio. It's time now. It's time to hit the road forever like a rose tattoo. You're calling them up by name, Rose Tattoo.
Not the first time.
What other song had Rose Tattoo?
There's a song on Guilty Pleasure where I say, it's She Dances Evil.
She dances evil.
I do a spin in the lyric where for a second I go, tattooed arms and rings in his ears, never gonna suffer a great man's fears. I say, I asked myself, what would angry do?
Oh yeah.
Well, those are Rose Tattoo lyrics. Got tattooed on, rings in his ear, never gonna suffer a straight man's fears. That's why they call him one of the boys. One of the boys is the name of the song.
Okay.
But I say, what would angry do? And I'm just calling out Angry Anderson right there after I stole his lyrics. So
I didn't realize that. I remember the "What would angry do" line.
yeah, Rose Tattoo is all over all of this stuff, really, and it's Easter eggs, kind of, right?
Yeah.
And Danko Jones does that a lot in his songs. He'll borrow from Aerosmith and Kiss and Thin Lizzy all the time. Do
Blood on the
little
Radio-
things, yeah.
Blood on the Radio was a odd. It was kind of a strange one because it was like a song before it was a song, and then we had to do it, and then we did it, and it was killer. I mean, it was one of those strange happenings. I don't know, like as opposed to the way the other songs come together. That was one of those, like we had it, but then we didn't have it on Blood on the Radio on the live record. But then I guess it was there was some significance of that song on its own. But I always loved that song. I always thought it was a really cool difference between the other stuff and what we did for somehow, even though it was still as punchy and rocking as the other songs.
You know, parts of it remind me of what came a little later on Viva was the title track Viva La Rock Fantastico. And you think about the riff, right? That happens in Blood on the Radio. It's more like
those
like let there be rock, but that same thing is happening.
Yeah, and I was going to say also that I hadn't realized that. Yeah, that accent on that.
Well, you can easily be charmed by it and forget that it's AC/DC. I know that might be hard for some, but I'm telling you, you forget, and it just turns into this churning riff.
That's what I was going to say. It really changes when the vocals come in. Then it's more like a start and stop. It's got that the pauses or the a little bit of room to breathe. Wake up, rock and roller. Down, down. Putting on your shoes. Down, 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 down.
Yeah.
Very, very different how it transitions to that.
Blood.
But
they're more chanting there. Blood on the radio. Blood on the stereo.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, good one. Sorry, go ahead, Jared.
It was fun to play. Really fun to play that song.
Yeah. Next is what comes next? Oh, Hell for Sale. This is I'm going to go into fanboy mode here, and I'll say this maybe for a couple of other songs on this record, and I could say it for several on Viva La Rock and probably on every Broken Teeth. This is a contender for my top Broken Teeth song in the whole catalog. I don't have an official ranking, but it's up there for sure. This is this I think doesn't, at least for me, it doesn't have any AC/DC, at least not surface anyway.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm sure I sent this to you, Jason, at the time, and I don't know if Jared has ever come across it. When I got married, I guess at the time, this was 15 years ago. There's this kind of trendy thing called trash your dress. When you got married, the bride you do a photo session in a kind of a not a glamorous photo session, but in maybe like a garbage dumpster in a river, something like that. The idea is forget about your wedding dress. Fuck that. The wedding is over. Let's just do something more dirty. And I did one of those, and we used Hell for Sale as our backing music. We did a video for Hell for Sale. I love the video far more than I love the wedding, or far more than I love the marriage.
Wow. Okay.
The marriage didn't work. The video still stands the test of time.
I hope your house doesn't get burned down after this.
No.
Okay, good. Everything's
no, we
good.
still have a good relationship. We're just not married anymore. Yeah. But oh my God, Hell for Sale. And I wanted to pick Devil Money, but it was too short. I think Devil Money was like 2:35, and Hell for Sale was around 3.5 or 3:15 or something. But Hell for Sale is got a great. I don't know if it's a groove, but feel the cold ground on my bare feet.
Super cool.
And the little bad words that I'm about to repeat. I got railroad head.
Thank you, Bon Scott. That phrasing is so blues man. You know, it's so that and bell.
I did the jail time. It's very, but you're right. Lyrically, it is very, very kind of bad boy.
You know, getting a groove.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Did you lose me?
Yeah, it's same.
I don't know.
It's all right. Edit it out.
Am I back?
No, you are.
Okay.
You are.
That song was a blast to play live. It's easy to sound good on that one.
Sing the riff. Let's play. Do you remember that riff? Because I don't remember the riff. The build up.
Yeah.
The drums coming in. Yeah.
So every now and then, like we don't play that song anymore, but every now and then we'll be about to go into the next song, like maybe at rehearsal or something like that. I'll go, jun, 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 jun. Everybody's like in the
chugga.
Everybody's like, they know exactly what it is.
As soon as you start playing that dun 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 dun, I mean,
you play 4 notes, four, the same note 4 times, dun 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 dun, and they're like, they know exactly.
We all know what that song is, but you might be going into, fucking Judas Priest, what is that? Gun, 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 gun. Down on the bump. You got another thing coming or something.
Very chugga. A little bit different from Broken Teeth.
Here's a little bit of an anecdote about Hell for Sale. Jared, do you remember the first title of this song? Yeah. Do you remember what it was?
I think it was something else, and I said, "You got anything else?"
Yeah, and you're usually the guy that says, "Yeah, without saying that lyric sucks."
The moderator.
That lyric sucks. It's good to bounce stuff off of your collaborations because you may have something right in front of you that has more teeth. That just has a little bit more.
And all of a sudden, we had teeth.
Yeah, more punch to it. It was this song used to be called "Back in the Business."
Yep.
I'm back in business.
Back in the business, and it's in the lyrics. Back in the business is what I say in the chorus. But I think I changed the line after "Back in the Business" to have "Hell is for Sale." I don't remember.
Good move.
I think so. Thank you. Thank you, Jared. The line, that first line had something else in it because I was so hyper focused on the title of the song being in the chorus, right? Because I wanted to have hook, back in the business, and I was saying something else there, I believe. So back in the business, and Hell is for Sale. Fixed it immediate. I didn't change anything else, just that. So, good move. Thanks.
Yeah, Broken Teeth does really well with hell, demons, devils, fire, highways.
Well, so does every other band that I'm in too. But there's a fine line in the way that you have to sew it up, or it doesn't work at all. So it's a struggle sometimes.
All right, yeah, man. Hell for Sale is a contender for my the coveted number 1 position on my list of Broken Teeth favorite songs.
I think that thank you, Dan. I think that Back in the Business and Hell is for Sale, and I'll get Heaven to Pay.
I got Heaven to Pay.
Yeah, I mean, what? How do you How does that work? It's
I don't
kind of
know.
an anti-religion, right? Right there, sort of.
Yeah, man, love Hell for Sale. Next is Bonfire, some Bon Scott
So
worship
fun to
here.
play live. Just
Yep.
raging, so fun to play live.
Hailing from the northeast, where the fire began.
So I have to confess here, otherwise I'll go crazy. I'll be biting my tongue and won't have anything to say about this song. Is I met a girl, and she was from the Northwest, and she had fiery red hair, and her name was,
Northwest U.S. Northwest.
yeah, from
okay,
Vermont. She's from Vermont,
That's northeast.
Northeast. Sorry, Halen from the Northeast.
Hailing from the northeast.
Sorry, I had it backwards, and her name was Bonnie. Bonfire.
Ah,
So
really?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. There's the truth in that. And I'm uncomfortable playing the song now because I'm a very very happily married man, and it's kind of I stay away from things that where my loins may have wanted to go. And she was a very cool lady and everything, and obviously I was a little smitten because I was like, oh, that's a good idea for a song, whether I was trying to hook up or not. You know what I mean? And I was just like, I got a great song out of the experience in my time getting to know this lady a little bit.
And going back to Witch's Brew, you've got a lyric here, elixir of the fire. So that's kind of a Witch's Brew reference. there.
Yeah,
The
and
elixir.
we were a little bit friendly, but just for the record, we never had any kind of real physical relationship whatsoever.
I don't
But-
ever think of it that way.
Yeah, no, I know, because it takes you on a journey. I get that, but it drums up the wrong things for me, right?
Yeah.
The interesting thing is she gave me the honey bear, the bear with the honey, like honey and a bear. Come on, guys, plastic bottle with shape of a bear.
Oh
Dan,
yeah, of course.
you in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what it is.
We'll look in the lyric. Honey bear.
I don't remember that. I'm looking now.
Yeah.
I don't remember that lyric being in there.
Yeah.
No, I don't see it either.
I'm telling you, it was everything about that just.
Oh yeah. Redhead ginger honey bear makes me weak in the
Hello.
teeth. Label says hot, sweet, and sticky.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah, I missed that.
So
But-
all
but I-
all of the above. I mean, I've already damned myself, right, and admitted to taking the communion. But the greatest thing about it is the song, and the lyric wrote itself. Just with all of that, and it's typical boy meets girl, like every blues hard rock song ever written. It is a great song, but I'm detached. Doesn't change a thing about how great the song is, because it is
Yeah,
great.
I thought
The lyric is great. If I don't say so myself, if you didn't know the backstory, the lyrics are fun, right?
When was the when did the AC/DC Bonfire box set come out? It was around the same time, maybe a few years earlier?
It came out before. I knew I was in trouble
Yeah.
from the get-go, because I
Yeah.
was like, well, I have to call it Bonfire because redhead, name is Bonnie.
Yeah.
Hello. So without people see Bonfire, oh, I bet these guys like AC/DC. Well,
That's what I thought.
this lyric has absolutely nothing to do with the Bonfire Bon Scott box set.
Could have
But
fooled
what
me.
is the reference of? It was I won't sing it. It was 1977. I was about to hit my stride. Is that what is that reference? Is that something specifically, or is that just a song?
That might have been the year she was born.
Oh, okay.
See, it's all relative in around.
Because I was
the
thinking,
clock.
okay, it's 70s AC/DC.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So
So-
77, I was already 13 or 14, right?
Yeah.
So
The riff on that is really fun to play. It's so fun to play.
yeah,
It's so punchy.
it's a head
All right,
tune,
next
man.
is Burns Like Love. I hear musically a lot of, again, AC/DC. A lot of AC/DC here. Burns Like Love.
Yeah, a lot of, if I may, Paul can write a riff like that all day long. And so he would come in and just have stuff already ready for us to hear and put together that day, right? So if you're a crazy Dirty Looks fan like I am, it's like he comes in, I don't really hear AC/DC, I hear Dirty Looks.
Oh, okay.
But you're not wrong to immediately jump to that scapegoat, right? That immediate, like, oh, it's a duck. Looks like a duck. Sounds like a duck. It's a fucking duck. So yeah, I mean, sing the riff again. I like hearing dancing riff.
What are we talking about? Oh, Burns Like Love?
Yeah.
Burns like Burns Like Love. Ah, there it is.
Yeah, another fun one to play.
And am I
But see, it doesn't really sound like AC/DC as soon as you, doesn't it go, John? Bana ban, bana bam, bada ba bada ba bada bum. Isn't that the riff in the verse?
Yeah.
verse?
I'd have to say it sounds like the, you know how Dirty Looks sounded like AC/DC. That's whatever that is. That's what it reminded me of. It was kind of like this offshoot. Like it reminded me of the offshoot of AC/DC, even though it really was. But
yeah, I think that AC/DC has become, not to go off chart here, but has become like this. Oh, another band that has everyone does it all the time, that if it's bluesy and it's one note, has a real bass, tick tock, do 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 kind of a thing, vibe for 3.5 minutes, Okay, well, it sounds like I'm just talking about a pop song, because pop songs have this simple riff, repeat, and it's where you do the stops or the rest, or what the notes you don't play, the second pass, the A part, the B part, the C part. It's the same riff over and over and over in the same key, where there's a bass line going that's one note all the way through. That's how pop music is actually written. And the things that are changing are the melodies in the notes that the singer is singing, right? And it's musically, it's where the bass or the guitars or the drums stop for a second. But the riff is not changing. It's omitting a note or two, and then it's going to fill back up. But it's the same cadence. It's the same notes every measure. So this is just one of those things that if you just kept the riff going and assimilated what I just described, this song doesn't sound, with that as a model, this song doesn't sound like AC/DC in that way when it goes to the verse, because it's doing that da 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 ba da ba da ba da ba ba. That doesn't sound like AC/DC to me.
Okay.
Do you feel that la da da ba? It's almost melodic and major.
Yeah, when you sing it like that, it doesn't. And obviously, I mean, you're obviously, I mean, you're attached to it. I only have the musical attachment.
Of course.
So there's going to be a different perspective of it. I mean, I could make the argument that I could hear and then AC/DC in every Broken Teeth song. Sure.
Well, and I'm not.
At least in the first couple of albums.
The intention.
I'm turning back on my own, sort of list of ingredients here as to towards the argument whether it be or not to be AC/DC. And I've proven myself worthy of it, maybe not being AC/DC there. But when I put my nasty voice and lyric on top of it, it takes it right fucking back to where I might have tried to pull it away, right?
And is there a lyric on this song? And I'm just thinking of this as you were speaking. Throw me in the trash like a toothpick of love.
What? In this song?
I maybe
in this song?
Yeah, hold on. I don't
know that lyric at all.
Yeah, okay. This may be one of these instances where you hear the lyric to lyric, and because sometimes you sing things the way you want it to be, or the way
phonetics. It's phonetics.
Yeah, that's right.
some of the things people have thought you were saying.
Throw me in the trash like a 2-finger glove. You know, I've always thought it was like
wait, where is that? What verse is that?
It's in the chorus. Burns like love. I know what she's dreaming of. Burns like love. She'll throw you in the trash like a 2-finger glove. I thought for all these years, I thought you were saying like a toothpick of love.
2-finger.
Okay, now I was just about to say, you know, going back to what Jared said earlier, I was going to say that's maybe one of those things like,
so
Jason, you got anything else?
You have to no. You have to you guys are not in my brain, and you have to just think dirty little mind. You have to think the dirty mind.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Throw me in the trash like a 2-finger. She used me.
Yeah.
And you know, you got this. Hey.
Yeah. I get it.
Okay. So done.
This makes much more sense.
I'm done, and she did. You know, after she's done with me, I'm just in the trash like a 2-finger.
Yeah, just to clarify, like I wouldn't tell him to. It would have to be really like I'd have cringy for me to say change something, unless it's the chorus.
Yeah, Jared's not.
I think that's part of the chorus, but it's not the main lyric of the chorus. Like it's the main like pop, and like that's not popping the way you think it is. That's usually what I'm.
Yeah, it's really if the hook is good, Jared will go, okay, the hook is good, but you gotta do something about that line there.
Something where it stands out oddly, but that one never. I was like, that sounds like Jason lyrics, you know.
It's
no. Well, now that I know it's 2-finger glove instead of toothpick of love.
Yeah, that would mean I have a small penis.
I hadn't thought of it that way.
Well, what am I talking about, Dan? Come on.
Is this like a two in the pink, one in the stink?
It's derivative of that. But you know, if I have to spell it out for you, here's 2 fingers, and you know, come on.
Yeah.
Through me, she dissed me. She broke up with me.
There was definitely some edgy lyrics back then. Actually, I loved it. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll is what. Part of it, but
I think that it is, as much as it might be cringy for, you know, people who like dirty rock and roll, to use a phrase that's been overdone in my book a million fucking times. Dirty rock and roll can save your soul. You know, you're talking a little bit about. I remember Jared telling me this is completely relates to what I was about to say. I remember Jared telling me, yeah, write some more lyrics as long as they're porno. You know, as long as they have this vibe that you're going, because it's like kind of like I had someone come up to me after a show, someone who's a friend of mine come up to me, and I was like, as soon as we were done, I'm walking off the stage, you know, and they looking at me like, why do I feel violated? You know what I mean? And yes. And then I've had other people say, it's like, why do after a broken, I feel like when you're singing into my soul. I just feel like I need to confess all of these dirty thoughts that I might have. And then other people who don't really like this kind of dirty rock and roll, they can leave AC/DC behind, you know, they're a little bit more modern about how they like their hard rock and metal, and that's fine. Or they like it a little more dainty, like maybe a Bon Jovi lyric or something where it's more, you know, Soccer Mom or something. That's fine. But they're thinking what I'm thinking. They're thinking the same thing that I'm saying, and I'm just being clever about the dirt. So
it's funny is for all those years we never cussed.
No.
We never cussed. We never. No. I mean, every now and then, like when you tell a song, you'd say a cuss word, but a lot of shows you never cussed.
No,
for a long time. And lyrics, there was none of anything like that. I had a girlfriend one time tell me that. Why do y'all have to sing about all that? I'm like, we're doing it right.
Yeah, have to, or why do you feel provoked? You know, maybe there's something in the psyche if they can tell what the song is about. Like hey, it's my first Broken T show. I don't know anything about it. I just heard they were a cool, fun rock band to see live. I'm going to go see them. Wow. You know, and if they can understand any of my fucking lyrics, and something's gonna go into their ears and wrap around their brain for a second, and once they, oh, oh, oh shit, you know what I mean? They might. That's what I mean. It's like that's what's great about music.
I was just gonna say when Jared was talking about this, his girlfriend who, said, "Why do you have to talk like that or write songs like that?" I was gonna say I didn't know that Jared dated my mother.
Wow.
Didn't last long.
Wow.
Yeah, my mother had that attitude. That was, I think a lot of parents did. Probably not towards Broken Teeth, of course, but back in the 70s, listening to Kiss and my mother hearing Hotter Than Hell. Oh my God, why do they have to say hell?
Oh, they said hell. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
It wasn't really that bad. I mean, if you spelled that out, someone may go like, well, that's a little much, right?
Well, the only person I've ever had to spell that out to is Dan Delaney, right?
No. Hold on. To be clear, it's not that I didn't understand the lyric. I misheard.
Well,
just excuse me when I kissed this guy instead of kissed this guy.
Ah, okay. Well,
yeah, no. It wasn't that I misinterpreted. I misheard.
Okay, you thought I said toothpick.
Here's one that lasted. Here's one that kept. It was our running joke for a minute. There's a line that says, "I want to crystal your meth."
Oh, yeah. That's in Stick It In.
Somebody thought he was saying, "I want to cripple your pet."
Yeah.
I want to cripple your pet. I want to cripple your pet.
I want to run over your dog.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
I want to maim your kitty cat. Yeah. Well, that's actually, now we're talking, because I want to maim your kitty cat.
That's not bad. Kitty is very different.
And it sounds like something that would turn into something that would provoke someone, that would make them feel like, oh my God, But running over your dog, that's terrible. I wouldn't even jest about hurting an animal.
Saigon Kick has a song called "My Dog" on the Lizard. It's my dog was walking down the street and some fucking car came and ran him over.
Oh shit!
So that's been done.
Yeah.
My Dog on the Lizard.
I'd have to say, Jason, you got anything else?
Yeah, that wouldn't work in a Broken Teeth song. My dog. Dangerous Toys has That Dog. And where that came from is basically everyone does it. You're driving down the street and you see a puppy dog playing and frolicking or doing something fun. And you go, wow, look at that dog. Everyone says that like it's a phrase, like that dog. It's a coined phrase that people don't realize. I mean, you say, look at that bird, look at that dude, look at that, right? That dog, I feel like had rolled off anyway. It's just how my brain works. I hear things that work and sometimes they don't work, and that's what Jared's good for. Yeah, you got anything else?
All right. So next
to be fair.
No, I realize that.
Yeah, we do it to each other. So.
Yeah.
So on the record, that would be the end of side 1, and which is the end of the new songs. And now we're on to side 2, which is
I didn't realize I sectioned them off like that.
Yeah. He's looking at vinyl. Yeah.
Well, yeah, as vinyl, yeah, of course it's 6 and 6. But I always, even when I had the CD, I always, as I said off the top, I always heard them as
that's in your brain. Yeah, that's your brain separating them. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
In the running order, all of a sudden Burns Like Love is over, and then She's Gonna Blow comes. Oh, I didn't switch the CD.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. If you were new to Dangerous Toys and you heard this, you would.
You mean Broken Teeth?
Or sorry, Broken Teeth.
That's okay.
If you were new to Broken Teeth, yeah, you wouldn't.
Yeah, wouldn't do that. It's your brain. Once again, it's your psyche. It's this stuff is music is like that. It opens a new window. Wow, I've never smelled that before. You see a new color all of a sudden. That's almost the way it's programming.
So next is She's Gonna Blow. Now this one, and I'll look at these a little bit differently. Comparing. Let's say comparing the original versions, which I'd known for years by the time I heard these re-recorded versions. I like this 8,000 times better than the original. I think that the songs that were on the first record, which are She's Gonna Blow, Stick It In, and El Diablo, I think those.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. You're
El Diablo
exactly right.
is the first one.
Yeah,
What is
that's-
Undertaker? Undertaker's on
First
Guilty
one.
Pleasure.
First
First one.
First
Well, those, yeah, it's just Devil Money and Hanging by the Skin that were on Guilty Pleasure.
That is correct.
Yeah, I think those four from the first record are vastly improved.
That's what I was getting at. We were playing a live. All these were like some of our punchier ones on the live show, and by that time, they had morphed into what we thought was the actual sound of the band. Like it progressed to a thing, and that's why we wanted to that, in my mind at least, was like we can put this on a record, and it's going to be different. Like you're saying, it's going to. It's different. So
all these songs that are ended up on Electric were in the live set already.
Yeah. And we were slamming at that time. We were playing so much. It was like you couldn't. You had to notice that.
Yeah. Once we worked up even the newer songs. Well, that may or may not. I don't know. Maybe Jared can correct me, but I feel like even at this time, once we had one of these. Newer songs, the first 6 songs on Electric, as soon as we had them worked up, we would try to incorporate, whether they were recorded in the studio yet or not, we would try to get them in the live set. So by the time that we recorded them, they felt, tried and true, and we knew what to do already, even when we hit the record button, right?
Yeah, and so when we recorded this, Dave had been in the band for 2 years.
True.
And like I was saying before, that was the point where we felt like we had a solid new thing, like not new, but just the band had been like refined to a point, like we had a thing, like a sound, because of the live shows and how much we played. And Dave was already worked in, like a 2-year mark for Dave. He was worked in. It took a while because it's a little demanding, but.
Yeah, basically.
I'm just saying. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just saying that this was our live set. Add a couple more tunes, and this was what we were playing live.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. From what I remember when this came out, and you guys talking about it, was that you basically recorded them on Electric the way that you had played them live, and they've kind of evolved over the years of playing live too. I guess almost similar to Kiss. Their live versions, especially on Alive, the first one. Were much, Jason and I have talked about this many times, just much more energetic.
Yeah.
Not necessarily faster, but just more intense, more fire. And that's how I see
More fire.
You could say that about a lot of live records.
Yeah.
When they're on the road for a year and they're playing back catalog, those songs morph into something. Kiss Alive, UFO, Strangers of the Night, Judas Priest, Unleashed in the East. The songs are more fire. The band has grown into this, what it is now. Let's write songs like this. This is a new sound that we've got. Let's harness this. I mean, why go backwards? Oh, we're playing too fast. We need to calm down the gain on our amps. We need to, Judas Priest didn't do that. They embraced it, and then they went and made Hellbent for Leather. It's AC/DC, same thing. They got all this cool 70s shit with Bond. They peak at Highway to Hell, and then Back in Black comes out. It fucking sounds metal because the tones are, it's just the fire is in the band already. So I feel like it's very continuum to where you are as a band.
Yeah, and She's Gonna Blow has as Jared said a couple of times, the kind of porno lyrics. Caught my old lady messing around again. Dancing with the girl because she loves to sin.
Very well could have been the very first, because it's the very first. It's the opening track on the debut record. So it has to be fire. It has to be just off the chain.
We opened our show with that forever. Mm-hmm. It was the once, just
right in your face, right
in your face.
Feeling fine. Started 69. I couldn't get.
Yeah,
I couldn't get much better. She was drinking my wine.
Yeah, and then there was a point when I realized, if we change that, let's say you saw us 400 times that month, and then we did a set where we didn't start with that. It was like, what are they doing? It was really kind of a fresh thing.
Or it would be like, where are they in the set? Why isn't this song? This is song 5 in their set. If you see us all the time.
Yeah, that also happened because we would do sets that like 40 minutes.
Yeah,
and so I'm like, I want to for me, I wanted to play certain ones, and that may not have been like, I know that one's slamming and it starts off with like you've heard it a million times, so I want to play some of the other ones that are we need to play a little bit more or something like that, you know.
But we've come back to it since.
Yeah, because it's slamming.
Yeah, and that one to me more than the other re-recorded songs on Electric, the vocals especially sound, and maybe it's a bias because I know it was kind of how you played them live. Jason has a lot of you add "yeah" at the end of several lines, which to me sounds, it gives it more of a live feel. Dancing with the girl because she loves to sing, yeah.
Yeah, that might have just been like a natural.
That's right. It's just
I didn't think.
No, I didn't think so.
I didn't add that little inflection on purpose.
It sounds very
was
natural.
It comes out. Yeah,
I know there's definitely differences, like with notes and little things like that. You know, we didn't do everything exact. Like I don't think I ever put on the old record and was like, oh, you know, I'm playing that a little different. We should do, you know.
Yeah, no.
We always kind of just did. We morphed into something and stuck with it, but it wasn't exactly the same as the beginning.
All right, next is Devil Money, and as mentioned earlier, maybe another contender along with Hell for Sale is one of my top Broken Teeth songs. This is one, when I heard it, it bugged me. I thought it was too fast.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I thought it was too, which is kind of funny because all the other ones, I like them a little bit with the more fire.
You know, if I may, I can see Jared's baited as well. If I may, real quick, I feel like Paul felt that way too when he heard these new versions of tunes that he was involved with way early. When he heard these, he's like, yeah, just everything is so fast now, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you were always the instigator in the fast thing, but you also have to factor in when we played them live, they were usually faster than that.
I know it.
Like live, we would play things way too fast, and it was the energy of the room, and everybody still loved it. Like, but I was going to say earlier when we were talking about live records, like if we recorded that, which we have recorded some of the Broken Teeth live shows where they're raging like that, the songs are way too fast. It's one of those things like you needed to be there to feel that, and if you hear it on a recording and you step back, it's too fast. It kind of just goes by, and it's a different element. So
yeah, the other five on here, they have, as we just talked about, more fire and more intensity. And just more energetic, but I felt that Devil Money was just too fast. Now I like it now. I've been listening to it for many years, and I do like it now. When I first heard it, it kind of made my head, kind of like like when a dog hears a sound he doesn't like. I was like, what is this? It's too fast. I felt like the opening riff, as a non-musician, I don't know if I can express this, that in the studio version, it kind of rang out a little bit. And this one was there's no room in it.
It's like it's a little bit of a different song just by upping the tempo. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's where we were going Motorhead as opposed to, a little less sassy and calm, where Jesus on the telly, which might have been a little bit more bluesy R&B vibe. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that it sounds like R&B, but because it's high energy rock. But when you compare the versions, you'll see what I mean when I'm trying to describe.
Yeah,
this kind of little bit light and sassy. It just turned into Motorhead.
Yeah, the original version has a real groove to it that I thought was missing on the re-recorded version. And if you remember some half an hour ago, whenever it was, when I was taking a note, this was the note that I wanted to hit. A small stupid point, again, going back to a toothpick of love and a two-finger glove. Sometimes your brain invents lyrics, right? Now, I never thought this, but my wife did. They're making devil money. My wife, I know it's because she's Mexican, and I don't think she actually thought you were singing this, but she said it sounds like he's singing, they're making their tamales. Making their tamales. And I've always, and ever since she said that, I said, you just completely, I can never hear that song and not hear they're making their tamales.
Well, here's a funny one on that. We've had a couple of lineup changes, and whenever we have to show them that song and they're having to sing the backup vocals don't say devil money. they say double mommy.
Really?
Double mommy. You can't tell.
Like double, like two.
Yeah, it's
double.
an old Kiss trick.
Really? I've always thought it was. Now, are the lyrics?
No. Hey, Dan.
No,
Dan.
it's not. No, that's just for what do you call
Just for
that?
It's phonetics.
Yeah,
Right,
phonetics where, if I said devil money, it's like, it doesn't sound right, so we go like, you're saying it, you have to go more, it's like leaning more towards devil money, just devil money.
Well, you want it to be like I fantasize that, that we're from Australia. I fantasize that we're from England. Well, we can't talk like this. Well, we have, like if I have put a bunch of marbles in my mouth, and I say, that's how the backing vocal. I want it to sound like a gang of bikers about to kill you. I don't want it to sound like, oh, devil money.
They are making devil
Electric's the same
devil
thing.
money. That doesn't work in rock and roll.
Most all the backup vocals, we would do something similar, like electric is,
Yeah.
it's not really, we're not really even saying it,
Right. And
it's not entirely, but
it's across the board that way too. There's other songs that, even when you think guilty pleasure, I mean, they're not going guilty pleasure, it's not, there's no brains. You want to take half your brain out and go, so it's just, but that's an important double mommy as opposed to devil money.
Yeah, making double money. Huh.
Making the tamales.
No, it's not what I'm singing. It's what the backup singer.
Yeah, just the backup vocals. So
only the backup. Yeah, not the lead. Yeah.
I think of it as a smear, like you smear, because you want them bigger sounding, and that's really how you do it. It's kind of a trick.
I'll give you one
Kiss trick.
One more example of that, off topic, but and I'll keep this brief. Do you guys know Brant Bjork?
I know who that is. Yeah.
He was in Caius and all right, Queens of the Stone Age, and he was actually supposed to play here, a show here tomorrow. It got canceled the other day, and he had a song 5, 6, 7 years ago called "Chocolatize," like chocolate, IZE, like like the verb, like to monetize or
Yeah,
and,
like chocolate on a banana. You've chocolatized a banana.
Exactly, that's right. Yeah.
Yep.
So when I first heard that song in my head, to me it didn't sound. I knew he was saying chocolatize, but I was hearing he's saying chocolatize, and I heard of testify, and I met him sometime after I saw him once, and I told him that story. He sang it. For months and months, he sang my version he sang it as Testify. And he said, wow, yeah, you're right. He said, yeah, that kind of fits in the song too. It's weird how your brain or your ears kind of hear
I think we've done that a couple times where we hear somebody say that and we've done it on stage, and it's like an inside joke with us, but nobody knew it. Nobody in the audience.
No, nobody's got it. I think Lemmy, didn't he sing Ace of Spades? So one line in Ace of Spades, he sang it different for years and years, and he said nobody noticed. I can't live. When I'm talking about.
Totally possible.
Yeah.
Is that the bass player for Caius? With the
in Caius, he was the drummer.
And then Queens of the Stone Age, who was the drummer?
Queens of the God, I can't remember. I don't know, because I was never really into Caius or Queens of Stone Age. But yeah, anyway.
I like a lot of their records, but I couldn't tell you. I just knew.
Well, Brant Bjork is maybe the most prolific music. God, that guy is always putting out music. And his solo music is very kind of psychedelic rock. It's not metal or stoner, but anyway. So next is
Stick It In.
Stick It In. This is another porno song. Now, right off the bat, I have a question for you guys. Again, as a non-musician, something that I think from the very first time I heard this, the re-recorded version, the very first thing, it was very peculiar to me. The count-in is different. It begins with a and then Bruce switches to
on the original. It does that, right?
No, on this one, I don't think on the original.
There's no hi-hat on the original.
There's no count-in at all on the original.
Just bass.
I don't know why.
Yeah, and on this one, so it's
What are you saying? I mean, I hear you
What's
singing
the-
a part. That's a hi hat.
And this is pure curiosity.
It's okay.
Why is there a difference musically in the, like, did he start to play it and then he changed the count? Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't hear it.
he just goes along with the bass. And so, like on the original version, there was none of that on there, and he just comes in with on the accents.
Yeah, but he's not asking that. He's saying that Bruce changes.
He changes
from like quarter notes to 16s or something.
That's right.
Yeah, I think it's just how he played it. It wasn't super intentional or anything.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I think it was more like one of those things. Like it lends to the energy. So leave it.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like I could take it out and it'll clean it up, but why do that when you got something that's kind of moving along? That's probably why. I couldn't recall.
Okay.
That we even thought about it. It was kind of probably one of those things it's how it was. We left it.
Yeah, that caught my attention right from the start. Not neither good nor bad, just peculiar to me.
Yeah. Because the like on the studio version, like the original, you would probably clean that up because you're trying to keep things kind of organized and clean in the production. And this was something that we obviously did live. Like it was part of the live thing, so that's probably why we did it that way.
Yeah, and more porno lyrics. Maybe more.
You're welcome.
Anything.
I don't know.
Yeah.
This is off the first album, and we were kind of, I wouldn't say new territory when you think about Sportin' a Woody or whatever, but I don't know. I just started grooving. I may have had bits and pieces of lyrics written already, way back when. And it just kind of fell together that way.
I want to play in your sandbox. You got the hot box.
I want to
show me all of your dirty magazines. Yeah, this is what Jared mentioned earlier. I want to smell your breath. I want to crystal your meth.
Yeah.
Show me all of your dirty magazines.
That's a Lemmy thing. He goes Speed Freak. He says I think he says I want to crystal your meth.
Really?
Yeah.
This is also the second song in the set for years.
Yeah.
So She's Gonna Blow, Stick It In for years.
Just like it appears on Electric. Same feel. It was a perfect 1-2 punch. Yeah. So we put it on the record that way.
No, this has Devil Money. Devil Money separates them on Electric.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Sorry.
I want to think the first three songs of our set didn't change for years.
You're right.
She's Gonna Blow, Stick It In, and I can't remember the third one. It was one of those.
Inadvertently, subconsciously, very well could have stolen the Beatle lyric. I saw her standing there. Right out of the chute, saw her
standing there with a lollipop. Yeah, could be.
Good starting places, sentences, telling a story. You can't use once upon a time.
Yeah.
So you use something similar. There I was. You know what I mean? 5 feet away. Whatever it is that you catch attention immediately is all of a sudden. Frame. We're standing there on a street corner. Whatever. And the lollipop in your hand immediately tells you what's going on with this song.
Yeah,
because they're you got a piece of candy. Well,
you're
going to put it in your mouth.
Yeah,
and I mean, I have to notice that songs like this actually do attract the girls. These are the ones that made all those girls like, I don't know why, necessarily specifically, but it did attract a lot of the girls. They love this kind of stuff, regardless of the ones that don't.
Well, it's actually violating those who don't like it. They're attracted to hearing these dirty thoughts. And I think in the same sentence, I can say it also attracts heterosexual men because they're
Sure.
thinking about it as well. And it's
Especially
coming from a male perspective. I mean, I'm the one up there delivering this potty mouth, and I'm trying to do it as clever as I can. Notice I don't, and I did this on Sport and Woody as well years ago with, I didn't rhyme with myself. In Woody, I say fly twice instead of trying to rhyme with fly, ripping my fly, titties fly, right?
Yeah.
In this, I said, I want to play in your sandbox. You got the hot box, which for some reason, no one gave a shit.
I don't. I still don't.
It doesn't. Right. I don't either.
Well, the best example of that is generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses.
Thank you, Ozzy.
How can you say anything?
Thank you,
wrong
Geezer.
about that?
You can't. Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know. I think that you're proving your point, and you're using words in the ways that you want them to that mean the same thing. In this instance, and stick it in, it means small enclosure.
Oh, okay.
I feel violated myself.
And actually, another one that reminds me of that, going back to the second song on the record. Oh, what song? No, the first one, Roll Over. I think I thought for years, no time, no dime, can't afford the California license plate.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were saying no time, no time. I thought you were repeating no time, no time.
No, I got no time. I got no money. I can't. I'm not going to move out to California. It doesn't make any sense. I'm going to roll over. Right?
Wasn't the California license plate thing that had a reference because of Randy being out there?
No.
And he's talking about his truck and how it's expensive. That wasn't.
Oh, maybe that could have been a subconscious thing.
He
Yeah.
was in Santa Cruz around then, and I remember him going, "Man, it's just like ridiculous how expensive."
Could have been. I mean, it's expensive to move. It's expensive to drive. It's so just it's blues. It's blues. Ain't got no woman. Ain't got no money.
And now you've got the California license plate behind you.
Yeah, that was a Watchtower fan. Notice it's basically spelling Watchtower.
Yeah, of course I noticed. Yeah. And I always wondered, I'll ask you this off topic, is that an actual legal license plate?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Really That's a real California license plate that the bass player from a band called War God that Gene Hoglan played drums in early. This is early. This would have been like 84, 85 maybe. And oh God, I can't think of the dude's name right now. Super cool cat, and I feel terrible that I can't think of his name at the moment. But the point is when he switched, because you gotta pay to have a license plate, a personalized plate, and you gotta pay extra every time you register.
Yeah.
And so he let it lapse, and he had a bunch of them, and he gave me one of them.
Oh, cool!
Which I thought was really cool. You got to be a big fan to put that shit on your license plate.
Yeah. All right. And anyway, just to wrap it up with Stick It In, another one just like She's Gonna Blow that is just for me. And I love the first record, but the She's Gonna Blow is Stick It In is infinitely better. On electric. I love it.
It's a little faster, but we didn't change we didn't change the groove enough to where it be uncomfortable because it's such a nasty song in every it's a little bit every way.
A little bit aggressive. Yeah, nasty is a good word. It's a little
but the original is nasty in the way that I'm talking about.
It's got an attitude,
so if you speed things up, they're not nasty or groovy anymore. Mm-hmm. Groovy is kind of like has this ditch you're trying to keep it in. Because as soon as it's out of the ditch and it has wheels on it, it's not the same song anymore. Oh. Kind of like Devil Money is kind of a different song for you now, which is the point I was making. I wanted to make a point here that, and this is a recent rediscovery, if you will, that this would have had to do with some lyrics that me and Mike Watson were writing for a possible Toys tunes way, way, way back. And I had old, crumpled stacks of lyrics that I was peeling stuff. Oh, try this. Oh, let's try this. When me and Paul were writing that first Teeth record, I had stuff like there was an actual Dangerous Toys. We demoed the song and everything called So Close I Can Taste It. So that was a lyric that I took from way, way, way back, that leftover that never got really used for anything, and used it in the hook and stick it in.
And that's another great line in this song. We talked about that. I want to crystal your meth. I want to huff your glue. What a great line this is.
I huff your glue. I swear I stole that from Lemmy.
It sounds Motorhead. I don't think it's from a song, but it just sounds like something Lemmy.
I swear I think that there's been two, not one but two Iron Fist album, Motorhead Iron Fist album, not the song Iron Fist, because I referenced Speed Freak. In Stick It In. There's two things, Huff Your Glue and what was
Crystal Your Meth?
Yeah, Crystal Your Meth. That's Lemmy. That's right off of Iron Fist.
Okay.
Yeah. Could both be from Speed Freak. I can't recall.
Okay.
Elton John, Bitch Is Back, he talks about Huff and Glue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so who knows, man? I'm a huge Elton John fan. So this stuff, I need rhymes. I need something hooky. I need something dangerous.
I watched your, and I'm not an Elton John fan, but I did watch your Captain Fantastic video that was uploaded.
The live thing?
3, 4, or 5 months ago or something?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But great to see you playing guitar.
Thank you.
That was cool.
I'm not a great guitar player, but that doesn't even matter. It's filler. It's filler, and it fits. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got Hanging by the Skin.
Hanging by the Skin. Another one that is infinitely better. That sounds, if I say it's better than the original, that sounds like I don't like the original. Improved. I just love Hanging by the Skin. Very, very, very cheeky lyrics. These remind me of something that Steven Tyler would have written. The Candy Stripers, they taste. What's the opening line of Hanging by the Skin?
Shaking like a leaf in the
shaking like a leaf in the doctor's office. I'm looking for relief.
Yeah.
She picked up the phone in leather and lace. Malpractice in the third degree.
You see, I love the women in uniform.
I love the Candy Stripers. They taste good to me. She was more than just my attorney.
Women in uniform, I feel a special place in there because it's an old song that Iron Maiden covered and made popular in the underground. Yeah, women in uniform is a cool phrase.
She had the cavity. She was willing to receive, but the doctor bill cost as much as a Lamborghini.
Well, the cavity is not the cavity in your tooth. Obviously,
cavity as a whole.
I'm at the dentist. Hanging by the skin of my broken teeth is the hook line that I reveal later on. But Candy Striper would be the dental assistant, right? Who's might be hot, maybe not, right? You don't care. You don't know. You're high because you're on oxide. You know, you got some. You know, looking for relief. You're on the gas, right? So you're kind of, hey, how's it going? You know, all of these, I'm trying to paint a picture for you immediately. Soon as
a lot of double entendres in this song. I think that the best one is.
That's why you probably think that it's Tyler-esque.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah.
She was more than just my attorney, police protection I will never need. She said she'd get me off on a technicality. Big double entendre there. She'd get me off, like, oh, I'm scot-free, or she'd get me off.
Obviously, I'm getting myself in trouble immediately.
Yeah.
So,
great song. Very, very fun.
That's another one whenever we'd start that song. We played it live a lot, and we'd start that song, and the Oys would come out.
Oh, that's right. And that's another difference on this, on the end of this one. You have, I think they were not on the original run, right? The oi.
Well, that's because everybody would do it live. Like, we weren't doing it necessarily live. Like, it would start happening, and then Jason would sing along. The crowd is doing it, and then we have to throw it in somewhere for homage to.
And what a groove in that one.
Yeah, that's fat. Well, and this is where he pointed out, I'm surprised Jared hadn't said it yet. You know, we, for a second there, you know, it's not prerequisite where we have to do it all the time, but we've done it more than once, twice, three times, is where whether it would have been Paul and Jared or David and Jared going, banana and where these guys are ping ponging the riff. Like, here's Dave, here's Jared, so when you're live, if those guitars are panned left and right, like you've got David on the right and Jared on the left, whatever it might be, when they do those stabs, it's sonically hitting you in the audience that way, and it's like, whoa, what's happening right now? You're being kind of like kind of,
yeah, like
really, and you have the drums and bass going ooh doo 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 doo. You know, it really has an effect, and if you're listening on headphones, you can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear that and feel that as well. So that was something that we were really proud of. You know, that
the intro to Undertaker has that kind of those stabs.
Undertaker's the main one like that. That if you want to, you know, call out something like that.
Well, and if I may say, to give Paul some credit, you know, he came in. I was living with Jeff Tweedy, a friend of mine and Jared's that we've known forever and ever. Not the Jeff Tweedy from Wilco. Paul would come over and, you know, bring a joint and a bag of riffs, you know, and he'd come in and he goes, well, I got this one. And we were a little stoned, and he just goes, and it goes like this, and he just went, and for a minute, you know. Yeah. I'm going.
You're like,
it's not a riff.
Well, it doesn't. That's the point, and this is my point. That is kind of like the song for. I mean, I think there may have been one gig, and they just kicked us off stage because we usually close with Undertaker El Diablo, Undertaker El Diablo. Every show, just as much as She's Gonna Blow has become an important starting place, our ending place are those two songs. So the audience knows what time it is. They can set their watch to it when they hear and so that whole moment with me and Paul down South Austin at Jeff Tweedy's house where he goes, I got a riff, and he just plays that A chord over and over and over right in my face, and I'm going, oh, okay. But the thing is, I go, keep going, and I'm looking around in a stack of lyrics, and I start singing Man Dressed in Black makes his... See my point? See my point? Yeah. So that became a staple in the way that we kind of do things. Even if it be once in a while, it's a very important ingredient to the feel of Broken Teeth songs, even to this day. Jared writing the riff, me writing the riff. It's important. I have to say, go back to Devil Money, which is on electric. It's the same arrangement that we came up with years and years prior, right? 5 years prior, whatever. That's one of my riffs, and that's me trying to write, well, what would Paul do? What would the Dirty Look song do? And even the shang, that's the whole song. There's 2 notes in that fucking song when you kind of brass tacks, right? And that's what I was trying to do, is write this just like Undertaker. There's 2 notes in the whole song. 2.
Yeah, it's very simple.
2. And so once again, premise as to what we're trying to do. And even when, and Jared will attest to this, when we wrote Devil on the Road, there's more than 2 notes in that song. There's a few other songs where there's more than 2 notes in there. And Jared can jump in anytime and attest to this. When it gets too busy, and I don't even mean like Rush or Dream Theater busy. I'm not talking like that. I'm just saying when we're getting too far away from what the song is trying to do with this kind of bluesy rock, we have to scrap something and go, let's get back in the groove here. Literally, let's get it back in this ditch and stay right here and make this song talk to people. And so I feel like that's an important thing to bring up about hanging by the skin.
If you, Jason, if you feel like a song is getting, like you said, too busy,
It's usually Jared that will point it out.
But then, do you? I mean, if it's your song, Jason, do you say, okay, I'm gonna keep that for Igniter, I'm gonna keep that for Godzilla Motor Company?
No,
no,
that rarely happens. And not to get off course, there was actually a Dangerous Toys song that I'd written that ended up in Godzilla Motor. By the way, Jared Tuten remixed and fixed and brought
I remember that a couple of years ago.
the Godzilla Motor Company
Yep.
record during the pandemic, just to give him some awesome credit. But one of the songs, one of the Godzilla Motor Company songs, was written for Dangerous Toys. Now, this would have been during the sessions for artists formerly known as.
What's on?
Because it's fucking heavy. Oh, well, it never made it onto a Toys record, but what Godzilla Motor Company song?
Yeah, what's the Godzilla Motor Company song?
Fuck. Oh, All Time Low.
That's the
Back it up, back it up, back it up. I wrote that riff. Yeah. And then
very thrashy.
The Slayer part and the thrash part, those got Bobby and Chris wrote, and then the stop in the blues, the Sabbath part, that's back to that was Toys. You could see how that wouldn't work with Toys at all, but I brought it in, we tried to work it up, didn't work.
Okay.
And yeah, interesting that, but it does happen. Just like Blue Moon, once,
All right.
Rare.
Okay. All right. So we can segue into Undertaker. We talked about that a little bit. I have a question about this. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I used to be a huge wrestling fan. I haven't watched it for 20 years.
Jared, are you good on time?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just checking.
Okay. Now, I mean, obviously, lyrically, man dressed in black makes his way to the ring. The graveyard shift has always been his thing. Bring in the challenger. It's obviously about the wrestler, the Undertaker. But I remember you hate wrestling. So where did these lyrics come from?
So I was talking about. I mean, the song is called. Okay, let's underline the fact that I am not a wrestling fan.
Mm-hmm.
Give or take, sure. If it's on, I'll go, wow, look at these guys rolling around and throwing each other. Wow, I think it's fun, right? That's fun. People are having fun. And I know people are way into it and they grew up with it. I totally get it. It's like being a Kiss fan. It's the same thing to me, right?
But it's not for you.
It's not for me.
Yeah, I get it.
So I'm writing a song. I'm being literal about a caretaker, an undertaker, someone who looks after the dead bodies and graves and has to dig them up and bury them and smell them, and maybe might even be a mortician. And I'm talking about this scary dude lurking in the dark with a shovel under the moonlight. I'm creating this whole horror show, right? Originally, with my lyric. Once again, it's getting to be a little bit heavy metal, right? Because some of my Igniter lyrics deal with this kind of fantastical beast or a type of villain, or right, and that's easy to do for the most of the time. And this works with Broken Teeth because I'm being clever about what I'm saying. Inadvertently, I say man dressed in black, Undertaker, not a wrestler. He could be wearing an overcoat and a shovel and a weird hat, and it's dark and there's ravens and there's clanging and ghosts, and it turns into a horror movie, a ghost story. And he's this entity, right? He's not a fucking wrestler called The Undertaker, okay? So I've got Undertaker, and I'm creating this whole vibe. And we even demoed the song, me and Paul, just with a drum machine or something. And my original lyric, man dressed in black, I didn't say makes his way to the ring. I say man dressed in black you know, the midnight bell shall ring or something like that. You see, it was a slightly different color of where people automatically were going to take it, which is what I realized when someone goes, "Oh, you have a song called Undertaker? Cool. Yeah, I love that guy." I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, I'm a big wrestling fan. I didn't know you were like wrestling, Jason. They accused me of being a fucking wrestling fan, so much so that I wrote a song about the wrestler. And I did not write a song about the wrestler, The Undertaker. Don't take this the wrong way. I was innocent and dumb to something that you are innocent to, that I don't give a shit about wrestling. So to save face, Dan, I changed that one line.
Okay.
Everything else kind of stayed the same.
Okay.
Like Punk Rock Chick down at all that, everything
Yeah.
makes his way to the ring. I think I had something. The second line I did have to change was to make it work.
Bring in the challenger.
Yeah, that line was different, and the makes his way to the ring was different. I don't recall what the lines originally were, but it was not referring to a sports arena in any way.
Well, now speaking of the sports arena, you've also got the crowd noise dubbed in.
That was Jared adding like a live
Some
feel
atmosphere.
to. Look at his face.
On the electric version?
Yes.
I think it's on both versions, no?
No.
Only the electric version?
I don't remember doing that. I think that was the first version, and I put it in the second one.
Jared wasn't there during the recording of the debut record.
Yeah.
And there's no crowd roar.
It's at the beginning of the song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no crowd roar on the original version back in.
I haven't heard the original version for a long time.
There is crowd in there. It's not. Yeah.
That's it. It comes in a different. Yeah. Is it
very beginning? And then when I say, makes his way to the ring, then Jared has like a roar.
I think you, Jason, instigated me doing that. That wasn't one that I came up with, and I probably would have, like, someone else does something like that. I may not remember it unless it really stuck, but it was one of those things. But
yeah,
we got to have the crowd thing at the beginning. What? Okay. That may happen.
Yeah, and some people misconstrued it as, it's a live version. It's not live.
No, I never thought it was live. Yeah.
That was only particular to the lyric at the top of the song.
And I
because you think about, that riff and then you hear this crowd and you think about a wrestler as his walk-on music, and you see this wrestler with a big cape and he's 8 feet tall and he's a villain and he's walking in and and the crowd gets, oh my God, there he, this was the vibe I was trying to fantasize about.
Yeah, I feel like the middle or kind of towards the end part, the quiet part, a line of Cadillacs with their headlights on.
Yeah,
I've always kind of envisioned that as a.
So that's a funeral procession.
Yes,
that's a funeral procession. Yeah. That's a funeral. Okay, that doesn't have anything to, originally doesn't have shit to do with wrestling.
No,
but it does because there is a wrestler called The Undertaker. So. See what I mean? But my original thought is not. I'm thinking complete ghost story, horror show, phantoms flying around in the, Scooby-Doo. I was all Scooby-Doo, and someone blew it for me, and I had to make it be.
We were secretly hoping that they would offer us $1 million to use the song.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? What a windfall!
Never happened.
The Wrestling Federation would go, "Hey, we heard your song," and I had some connections, to someone go, I know I can float that song to him, and nothing came back. Phone didn't ring off the wall. Nothing.
I wonder if he's ever heard it. But
that's what I'm trying to say is that I know The Undertaker. I said, here's 10 CDs, throw it to him and all his friends. Yeah. Make sure that someone in his camp hears this shit. Blah blah blah. Nothing. Got nothing.
All right. Well, I was going to say I
he's heard it
that as like a real that part of the song anyway, the quiet part, and then a line of Cadillacs with the last one that you scream it. I feel like I picture that in a giant arena with 14,000 people, and the crowd just explodes. You're kind of building up to that, building up.
Yeah, the breakdown is so you chop off the song and you create this subtle, and you let the dust come down. Right?
Yeah,
You let the reverb die out, you let the echoes of the room die out, and you create this space for everyone to catch their breath. And then you hit them when they're not looking, and then the song explodes. That's the oldest trick in the book.
Yeah, it's reminding me of, and like you just said, it could be any song. It reminded me of the Iron Maiden's live version of from Live After Death of Running Free. They break it down to just drums and bass. I'm running free, yeah, and then when it comes back in, the crowd goes crazy. That's how I envisioned Undertaker. But just one last thing about that song for me is whether it's the lyrics are about wrestling or not, the most unbroken teeth lyrics in your catalog, right?
Undertaker,
like, to me, those are not your typical broken teeth.
Okay, I before I dig into my head and come up with a thought or a feeling about that, do you think it might be because everyone out there who doesn't know the stories I've been harping on about being upset that I had to make it be about fucking wrestling?
Yeah.
If there was no wrestler, this is hard to be biased now, right? If there's no wrestler called The Undertaker,
no, I think even
would it still not be?
I think so. Like, yeah, that's why I'm saying this. Like,
maybe you're helping me answer my own realization here that it could have been for an Igniter song. It could have been because I'm talking about this dark force.
Like, to me, if it is about a wrestler, that is a little bit more broken teeth. The way that you just explained it a few minutes ago about this guy and he's dark and there's bells and crows and things like that. That's even for me even more unbroken teeth.
Wow, because I'm thinking I want it to be something like Night Prowler.
Oh, AC/DC.
But it's not. And you're right.
The devil references too is similar thing. The death devil they are to me they're similar. The same, stroke of the hand.
It could be. So it's the dark forces are there in Broken Teeth songs, whether you realize them or not, because I'm talking about my dick half the time.
Yeah, maybe if Undertaker was a new song, maybe it would be more. But I mean, at that point, only on your second. I mean, Devil on the Road is more. I guess Devil on the Road
reminiscent
would not have fit lyrically, I think, on the first two records.
Wow. Yeah, maybe.
By that point, you were more into the hellfire and brimstone and.
Wow, yeah, maybe it was a little bit more boy meets girl on the first record. Stick it in, and she's gonna blow, and innuendos and things.
Yeah.
But El Diablo's on the first record.
No, that's different. Yes, that's
El
true.
Diablo and Undertaker are both relative in my black heart. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Which I stole from Lemmy as well. There's a thing. There's a theme and a thing happening from day one that you may or may not see when you go deep dive like this. But I'll peel off and look underneath and say, maybe you're right. Maybe Undertaker is a little bit odd, but I feel like it's hard to be biased again because I had to end up, to save face, be about the wrestling dude, and not necessarily the same vibe that El Diablo. The guy standing at the the Robert Johnson story, Crossroads.
Oh, Soul to Soul, yeah.
Yeah. Once again, before I forget. In El Diablo, which is the song we're about to talk about right now, might as well start talking about El Diablo.
Let's go to El Diablo.
The last song on it's on the first record, yeah, but it's the last song on Electric. Is another Angry Anderson, another Rose Tattoo reference. And just to check so I don't say it wrong by just guessing and blurting something out. Candlelit Room.
No, that's Bedroom door to a candlelit room.
Oh, that's She's Gonna Blow.
That's She's Gonna Blow.
That's She's Gonna Blow.
Bedroom door to a candlelit room. I don't care where she comes
Sorry, I don't know. I thought it was El Diablo for a second. My bad. That's before I forget. That is also Rose Tattoo. I can't remember what song it is, but I stole that from Angry.
I need to dig into Rose Tattoo. I've heard like
they're fun. Imagine if AC/DC went country and had slide guitar on every song.
Yeah, I should.
It's dirty, man. It's really weird and bluesy and fun, but they get Motorhead fast like every other song, like every fourth song maybe. They start to cook, so there's some shit in there you'd like.
And what about for you, Jared? These these 4 of these last 6 songs, they're songs that you didn't play on. How do you see them compared to songs?
Oh, the first record.
Yeah, She's Gonna Blow, Stick It In, Hanging by the Skin.
He got there as soon as he could.
Yeah, I was there pretty quick.
He was banging
that's right.
on my.
You said he was there.
He was banging on my door the whole. Well, he wasn't there when we recorded the first album, but I'd play him some tracks and he'd go, "So hey,
he was aware.
Play guitar."
Okay.
One big thing, like when Paul was in the band, like right off the bat, I'm like, I want to do Rhythm Pig. I want to be Rhythm Pig, no soloing. And I played solos like crazy before that. Like I'm no stranger to soloing and But when I got in, I'm like, I want to do Rhythm Pig. I'm literally going to have a setup that I can't solo on. It's so just rhythm style. And I played, as long as Paul was in the band, I played rhythm. And he at one point he was like, "Hey, you want to take this solo?" I'm like, "I don't think so. I think I want to just stick to rhythm because guitar players always have to show off, and I don't care. Like if I'm showing off, I'm gonna show off. But like that wasn't really my thing necessarily, or at least in my mind for this. So I played rhythm
and
strong,
but the little double notes in "Roll Over," as we've talked about in this episode, that's not a solo.
Now, when Paul left the band, I took half the solos and I started soloing and changed that whole thing around, which meant I have to have a pedal board, because I was like, I want to plug straight in, play solo. So when Paul left the band and we just split him up and I started soloing, so it was a completely different beast at that point for me.
Yeah, but to be clear, when we were working up those songs, and that part even in there, that roll over, that part wasn't even in there yet, was it?
I don't think so.
Oh wow, interesting. I wonder if on these rough demos I have, I wonder if that elephant push
is in there. Yeah, I'm
curious
to know because I remember a definite change.
Yeah,
because I was already kind of leaning. I might have started doing that because I was kind of leaning towards it. I was going to say something about an Undertaker. Do you know about the medley?
Dan? You asking me?
Dan wouldn't know about the medley because he's never seen us live.
No, why did you throw in parts of other songs with Undertaker?
Yeah, sometimes we do this thing. Like we don't always do it, but a lot of times we do it, and just to see who's fans out there of who's in the tribe. It's we do these two little pieces of Judas Priest songs, Devil's Child, and
in the breakdown.
But you're in the breakdown, you're waiting for him to sing the lyric. Instead of that, we go we just bust into 2 Judas Priest songs. Devil's Child is the other one.
Head Not to the Highway.
Yeah. So you're in the breakdown, you just go right into it. It's super cool.
No, I didn't know that, but now that you mention that, and I can't. This to me now seems so obvious. Devil's Child and Undertaker have that same kind of.
Yeah, and what was funny on tour, that was fun for us just to because I don't want to go. I wouldn't want to play the whole song. That's not real. I'm not there to play covers like that. I'll play a cover if we're trying to, we've done it before, but. Like on a record or something like that, but so you saying that it's a lot like that. There were more, and I was like, you want to throw this one in? We could have done 5 little pieces of song. We'd let's just do these 2.
Yeah, there's a trillion gazillion songs in the key of A at that tempo.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Fun.
So we throw in Devil's Child and heading out to the, and we don't play the whole song. We just play snippet, a verse and a chorus, and then get out and break back down.
Yeah, and you think you're going back into electric, and then we play another one. I mean, Undertaker, and then we played another one right back out of it.
Yeah. So it's these little little teasers, and then people are, oh shit, they're gonna play a Judas Priest song, and then we break it back down. They're like, oh shit, and then you can see people react and laugh, and you get roars out of the crowd that way, at least from the Judas Priest fans. If someone's too young and they don't know those Judas Priest songs, then they goes right over their heads, and they just think that we're fucking around.
Yeah.
Which we are, but we're actually playing songs that we love. Or we recorded Devil's Child for that Judas Priest tribute album that Blotzer produced, and so that was an obvious one for us to throw in there. So.
All right.
Yeah.
And El Diablo is I guess basically your signature song, right? Like are you still closing with that? Is that your standard closing song?
We are. We've peeled away from it, for little short stints of time and gone back to it.
Yeah, it's weird to call it signature song. I'm trying to think what would actually be considered our signature song, but
yeah, I guess it depends on how you define it.
Sorry?
Yeah, Undertaker is probably legitimately, like I was trying to convey a little while ago, it's like one note for 3 minutes is really the seed and the germ that is Broken Teeth. And we try to, even though we go, Priest vibe and Motorhead vibe and AC/DC vibe and all these vibes, it really is blues based. And we really try to stick to the simplicity and the gnarliness of how crazy, like frantic and wild you can get with playing, like staying with the bass notes being one note the whole fucking time. And Undertaker's, I think Jared's right. It really is. That's why I emphasize me and Paul coming in. I got a riff and I'm like, he does that for a minute. I'm like, the fuck is that?
I was actually saying I don't think that Undertaker's actually our signature song.
Oh, you don't think
maybe
it is?
from a fan standpoint.
Yeah.
But like Diablo is like one of those we have this thing like in my mind when we're writing a new record, the mid tempo songs are kind of the hardest because you could have a not a great one so easily. The burners are like done, they write themselves, and Diablo's kind of a burner, super fast, and it's like you just get, and that one to me was just another one of those burners, which could be a signature.
What about let me ask you guys. I'll give both of you a chance to answer this. Speaking of signature songs, well, I don't really know what that is. I guess it's the song that that you're most closely associated with, or the song that best represents you. It's not necessarily your most popular song. Like I don't know if "Stairway to Heaven" is Led Zeppelin's signature song, but for both of y'all, I'll ask Jared first. Well, same question, but Jared can answer first. What is the one Broken Teeth song where you say this is Broken Teeth? You want to play it for somebody and say this is who we are. This is the song that represents Broken Teeth. What is it for you, Jared?
Crap. All these songs are coming to mind. That's super difficult.
Not necessarily your favorite, although it could be, but just the one that you say this is what I'm proudest of. This encapsulates the spirit of Broken Teeth.
Oh man, you got me on that one. Because there's different facets, like Undertaker being, if you call it a signature song, there's like a certain thing that has that we write a bunch of songs kind of like, and then Burners we write kind of like, and they all kind of fall into the same. It's like the same. It's like you could put them in the same category, but they're different.
There's really only like 2 or 3 faces to choose from.
Like one, if I had to play you one song that I thought would be a great introduction, or this is what we're like, it would probably be Bonfire.
Wow. I did not see that coming.
It's not the only one, but like just off the top of my head right now, if I played you Bonfire, you go, oh shit. And I go, yeah, that's slamming. And you know.
You know what I like about that we don't really have in any other song in Bonfire. Is the push is the push to beat. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, and and we don't do that.
Yeah, I'm thinking more of the energy and
Right.
the weird lyric content.
But it has strange things about it that are sort of make it different than like, you know, the typical Stick It In and Undertaker, which are similar. When you kind of think about how tempo and, you know, the vibe of Stick It In and Undertaker are similar. Maybe they're not similar in any other content within those two songs, but the groove and the feel and the chunk is still very similar to me.
And that could change tomorrow. Like if you ask me the same question tomorrow, I go, try this. And it'd be like, it's still a great representation of our energy.
Yeah, I would say, same question, I would say electric.
Electric, yeah, sure.
Yeah, both on this album.
Yeah. Well, that was the point of why to re-record songs on studio records that were released years prior with a different lineup, which is kind of add on to the reasons why. As well as we had these really cool sort of new era, you know, 6 tunes that sort of that we had been developing even with Paul, you know, to an extent. And, you know, Roll Over and Hell for Sale. There's a couple of my riffs in there. Jared, you know, we were all starting to contribute, Jared and Paul and I, on where those songs were starting to go. And so I feel like that's where Viva kind of came. You know, I was kind of coming into my own to actually writing, you know, I think Devil Money was my first, I wrote a Broken Teeth song on guitar, you know, and I showed it to everybody and we're like, oh, that's a no-brainer. It's 1 note for 3 minutes. It's got 2 notes in it. Let's go. You know, which could be another, but I think Broken Teeth is more than just what I keep saying, not to confuse, you know, oh, it's 1 note for 3 minutes, you know, or, you know, like Devil Money would be a good safe song to play for them, even though it still has a bit of danger in it, because of the format that, you know, that we sort of came up with on the first album.
But there's a lot of songs that we have that are complicated. Like it may not seem like it, but El Diablo is a really difficult song to play on a guitar. But you know, you're like,
it's
finger might snap in half trying to play that thing.
Yeah, it's a shred warm up. You know,
I like it when other guitar players are standing there and I bust the riff and they're just like, you know, how are you playing that? Like, I don't know. Yeah, that's Paul. That's a Paul lick. Good old Paul.
Yep, Paul can do that kind of stuff, and you know, not saying that anyone else in this crew can. You know, it's kind of that's not really, but that riff is not signature to the band.
I don't mean it that way. Yeah,
yeah. I don't take it. We don't really need to go on like every third or fourth song on a record. But Jared said the burner songs, the faster up tempo sort of, you know, Overkill, Ace of Spades, kind of, you know, that sort of faster groove. It's still groove. Still has to have groove. It's not thrash because it has the underlining shimmy, you know, doom da doom da boom da ba doom da boom da ba doom da boom.
War Machine comes to mind. You can still the War Machine roll.
Yeah. Yeah, that's on 4 on the Floor. Yeah,
that's one of those burners that were like, I got to do it.
Yeah,
I couldn't pass that up, you know.
All right. Well, we're done with the album. I will let you guys go, but just a couple of quick things to wrap it up. You've got, as far as I remember, 2 shows coming up.
True.
Teeth does, right? One
yep.
in a couple of weeks. One maybe in June or something.
May 17th. Come and take it.
Yeah,
and
there's
in Austin.
That's this. Yes, that's this month. May 17th is this month, and
June 15th.
Sunday, June 15th is a hot rod rally in South Austin. They're both in South Austin, but yeah, if you're going to be in Texas either of those dates, come see us.
I wish I could.
Yeah.
And most importantly, any new Broken Teeth music in the cauldron?
We're writing. We have almost half a record written, and we have a ton of ideas. We're just all so busy.
Yeah.
Stars are not quite aligned as far as like us like being able to get them solid enough to hit record yet. But demos, we've gotten together and worked a few of them up in the rehearsal room and done a little bit of pre-production. But
nothing that will be ready to play live on May 17th or June 15th? Okay.
No.
So.
All right. Well, that was excellent. Thank you both for your time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just lapse back briefly into fanboy mode as if our Texans and friends. I fucking love Broken Teeth, man. What a fucking awesome band they are.
Well, we appreciate that, and people who mar their skin on their bodies in our name is pretty. That's the truth of dedication and ferociously tribal. So yeah, thank you for that. A believer.
I am. Yeah. Well, thank you again to both of you, and we'll do another episode sometime. I could talk about Broken Teeth anytime. All right, that's all. So for everybody, thanks for watching. I'm sure a lot of people did this with the scroll thing.
That's fine
on YouTube.
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't expect anybody to watch 2 hours and 40 minutes. But thank you for anybody who joined for part of it. And that's all for me on behalf of Jared and Jason. Thank you. Wait, I got to get ready to go. Okay, yes. Thank you. See ya.
Thanks.